Yeah, I was talking that whole time. Y'all didn't hear me. So embarrassing. Okay, can you hear me now? Let me make sure. Okay, we good. We good. Good evening. Let me do my intro again. Good evening. We are back. So tonight I'm going to be hosting a panel for unfriendly women. We're going to be discussing, let me just go ahead and play it real quick because I want you to see exactly what I'm talking about. Is it this one? Lord. This one here. Here we go.
You know what? I'm going to say it. And I said I wasn't going to say nothing, but I'm going to say it. I hate unfriendly black women. Okay? When I say that, y'all can say, oh, it's just my face. It's just the face that I be making. I get that. That may be the face that you're making, but other races seem to not make that same face. Okay, look, don't y'all come for me because I know y'all like to tussle. But I like to do events like cycling. I like doing Pilates. I like doing all these fun stuff like that. And when I see another sister that look like me, I'm nice because I'm like, oh hey girl, how you doing? You know, I'm just a friendly, go-lucky person. I like to meet new people. Okay, but then when I get the response that you just like, you got your nose turned up, I'm like, sis, I ain't even did nothing to you. I just said, hey, how you doing? Maybe we can come to Pilates or cycle together. Like, I really hate how we are so mean to our same race. It's so disgusting. It is so disgusting. And like, they even tried to introduce me to some of the girls that were there. They were like, oh, Alexis, this is Alexis. She comes all the time. She does X, Y, and Z. And I still get a tooted up face. But they're nice. Okay, and then the people will try to introduce, me to the sisters, so we can, mingle and get to know each other and stuff like that. And it's so crazy because they'll be talking to them, the other races, and they're so nice to the other races, like super friendly. Sorry, y'all, I'm trying to cut through traffic like little baby said. But they're so friendly to the other races, but then when it comes back down to me, they just be looking at me all funny. I don't know what it is, and we got to do better, and I'm sick of it. And then people say they don't have no friends, and that's why you don't have no friends. Fix your face, okay? Fix your face. Fix your face.
Okay, so let me get into my intro and then we're going to dive into this topic because I'm sure a lot of you are wanting to chime in. Hey boos, in this video, I give commentary based on my opinion. Nothing is to be taken as factual. We are just here to have conversation. We don't expose and we don't sip tea on this channel. I'm giving you real talk straight, no chaser. Let's see if you can handle it.
Cause I'm a boss. I haven't done anything for you to be proud of.
Of course you have. You are marrying a man who can support you.
Okay, so could the girl in the TikTok video, could this be a personal issue of hers? Of course, but is all of it personal? I don't believe so. When it comes to the meat and the potatoes of what she's saying, I think a lot of Black women have had a similar experience with other Black women. So if you're wanting to come up here and join to discuss this, click the link. It's on Patreon. I want to give the Patreon members access to come up here and weigh in on this topic. Also, Brittany B. Taylor, do you have anything that you want to add?
Hey, Yoni.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Man, I have so much to add to it, but I don't want to go off course.
Okay.
But there's so much to say because I didn't end up being friends with Black women until I reached adulthood.
Okay.
Because they didn't want to be my friend.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. I grew up mostly friends with Hispanic women and white women because the Black girls, I wasn't invited to their team. I guess I was too friendly. I was too nice and I talked too white for them.
Mm.
So I was never accepted by other Black women, and I wanted to be a part of that so bad. And I never understood like why
Okay.
they treated me like that, or why they were always so mean, or they made fun of me for being too friendly and nice. I never got that. So I've had many different experiences, but the way I think about it now as an adult, I tend to get past the stank face because I know it's a defense mechanism. So we can get into that like later.
Okay. Okay. So so now you're saying that it's a defense mechanism, but do you think that there was a particular reason that you were outcasted other than the fact that you were just different?
I think it's because they thought that so I did not think I was cute when I was younger. So I'm not going to sit here and say, well, they was hating on me, because I don't feel like that. I just
Right.
genuinely feel like they didn't like me because they called me white girl growing up, and they thought it was funny to make fun of me, like mock after me. Like when I would say, oh my gosh, they'll be like, oh my gosh. Like they would like do certain things to mock me. And it was a little traumatic. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like even talking about it, my heart started racing, because that's, like I don't understand. I never understood why, like, I can't change the way I talk. And I found myself trying to, but I also think it was the neighborhood that I grew up in. Like, it was predominantly Black and Latino or Hispanic. And so the Black girls were like, why are you talking so white? And it's just like, I don't know. And they would even tell me, like, question, like, are you being raised by white people? And I'm like, no, but I don't understand why y'all wouldn't want to be my friend, or I wasn't cool enough to be your friend. Like, I have the black girl that I was friends with, after a while, she started hanging out with a whole bunch of Black girls. She didn't want to associate with me anymore.
We lost you. Oh, continue. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. She didn't want to associate with me anymore because I wasn't cool enough for her. So,
okay. I mean, I understand because my story is a little bit different. I grew up more weird. Just I Black girls, we had a weird relationship because I was the girl that had the cocoa butter, I had the Cormex, I had the gum. But then also, like, I was comfortable being by myself. And I think that may have been a little intimidating because, I can come around, I can crack some jokes, I can share my cocoa butter, my Carmex, my gum, breath mints, whatever, right? But I was the type that could go off and do my own thing because I was aloof in that way. Like, I'm in my own world. And I don't think they knew how to take that sometimes. And so I don't know if they thought that I had an attitude or I felt like I was better, but sometimes like the energy exchange was kind of weird because I was a little more weird, different in my head a lot. I mind my business. I may crack a joke with you here or there. We can crack up, have a good time, kiki. But then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna go do my thing. And I think they may have taken that the wrong way. So
they probably couldn't figure you out, and they probably thought you just didn't mess with them, like you was just too mature for them. That's what it sounded like.
Right. So I don't know. Like, I'm interested to hear what some of the other ladies come up here and discuss, because maybe it will give us a little better of an understanding of why we have these interactions and why we may be having these experiences with each other. Because it was interesting. There was an article that came out not that long ago that said that Black women deal with depression differently than most people.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So we don't know what we're truly encountering when we have these experiences, or when we had these experiences. It could have been a misunderstanding, but when you're a child, you're seeing things from a child's perspective, not an adult's perspective. You're seeing things from your vantage point and not the vantage point of the opposing person. And so you may not be reading it right. So I would just like to bring some people up here. So we have the first person that just joined. Let's see. Ground. Hello?
It's muted. Hello?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what did my name come up as?
It came as Ground.
Wow, I can see my name and they just, okay, it's cool. Everybody get my name wrong anyway. Hello, ladies.
Hi, how are you?
I'm sorry. My name is Malay. I just want to introduce myself real quick.
Okay.
So I think I offer interesting perspective because I've been, I've tried to assimilate to like, like the average Black girl when you're, the regular friend group, and then I've done my own thing. So for me, I've always had an issue with like fitting in, and like things always went wrong when I tried to fit in like too hard. So I had my like friend group that like, I worked really hard to get. And I was like, okay, these are normal girls, they're popular. They do like the normal social media things. And again, it just never felt like right for me. Like we can keep conversation. We can talk a little about this and that. But it seemed like looking back that we just were kind of following a script of, okay, well, this is what everybody else is doing. And this is time like Twitter was big. So like that was constant topic. Whatever is going on in other girls' social life is constant topic. Drama, constant topic. And me, I had so much going on that tired me out so easily. Like I didn't know what overstimulated was until like a couple years ago. But I've been overstimulated for a while. So I would like just kind of go off, and then because I went to a diverse school, I had friends from like other classes that I would just go sit with. And I had this one friend group that I would like attach myself sometimes. And they were old, they were Black girls, but they were in the grade above. They were completely different. They were so like, they just seemed very much themselves. Like I still keep in contact with those girls today. They're still the same. Like obviously they've grown, but they're still the same, very genuine people. And they grew up in like that diverse school setting. The girls that were in my friend group, except for one, most of them didn't. But even like the one that didn't, like that was my best friend. I knew her to, again, it was like kind of a script. Like this is what I see on social media. These are what other Black girls, these are what the Black girls do. So this is what we have to do. This is what we have to present ourselves as. And if there's a Black girl that doesn't do that, like obviously we're gonna side eye her. We're gonna look at her differently. And there were girls that I was friends with that happened to, and I didn't like I didn't see it much as a problem because I wasn't seeing like any of the issues that I was participating in, because again, I was just going through so much. So I was constantly detaching myself from like the reality of it. And I remember my one friend, and she is such a sweetheart, and she's been through so much, and the girls knew that. And this one girl, she had like made a comment. She had moved into her house after her father had moved out. Now I knew the girl, me and my friend knew that the girl had been not living there, right?
Now,
And
are all of these girls Black
yeah,
girls?
these are all Black. These are all Black girls. The friend that was made fun of, like I said, she had been moved out of that house. This other Black girl was just like, she was just dragging her name through the mud. Like we're just sitting there, and I just remember like feeling so upset because she was just like, oh, she's so dirty and the house is a mess and blah blah. And she's just going in like, this girl wouldn't hurt a fly. I wish she would sometimes, like, but she's so sweet. And I just got so irritated because I was just like, y'all all know this girl. Y'all all know like that's not her. And so I had to say something. I was like, she don't live there anymore. Like, why would you say that? Like, but nobody else said anything. And it was just kind of like, I think like, especially as kids, like we're so scared to like, stick out. And when you're Black, we're taught that there's one way to be Black. And so if you step out of that line, where you gonna go?
You know what? I never thought about it like that.
That's true.
That was me. That was definitely me. I was so scared to leave my friend group. I was so scared to step on toes because I was like, well, what am I going to do in the weekends? Like, especially because I needed like an outlet. I needed to go outside. I need to be around other people to distract me. So
it's crazy because why we are afraid to do that within our dating life as well. Like we're very loyal. Why are we afraid to step outside of our comfort zones?
I feel because we're not, from like the moment that we're like kind of born into the society. I wouldn't say born onto the earth, but really born into society. We're already given a name tag and a script to follow. And our parents don't tell us to deviate from that most of the time. And it's like, for me, I'm only speaking for me. Like I grew up with a biracial mother. So she's not going to understand fully. She'll understand from a biracial aspect, but she wouldn't understand fully like hey, I'm having this issue with like, you know, my Black identity. And again, I will be honest, like, because I couldn't commit to myself, I had to play the game that they were playing. So I did things, I said things that I didn't even necessarily mean, just because I didn't want to leave the group. I didn't want to be alone. And I feel like as Black women, we don't got nobody but ourselves.
Yeah.
So if we like, it's just this kind of, it's like scarcity mindset and then fear of abandonment. So because I don't even want you to reject me, I'm just gonna act like I don't even like you. I don't want nothing to do with you. And again, that's speaking from me, but that's like what it was, because I wouldn't mean mug people. I was known as the mean girl. I was never mean, but I was taller. I was bigger than the rest of my friends, and so yes. So I was known as the mean girl. I was known as the mom of the group. I was known as the muscle. You know, when your friends get in trouble, they looking at you like you're gonna fight, and I'm not a fighter.
So B. Taylor, do you want to weigh in on a good point that she made? She said that for the most part, we're afraid to leave our friend group, but it brought up a bigger perspective, in my opinion, that we are afraid to leave our comfort zone when it comes to dating, friendships.
But what are we to be comfortable in? Like, most of us really aren't comfortable until we find our own happiness and our own safety. Like, I just started finding that, but I didn't realize I was uncomfortable this whole time. I just realized I'm a very lovely person, but I had to like, well, Spirit did. Spirit separated me, put me in the hole. It was like, here, you need to think about it. You need to talk about it. Like, but I had to, like, we're not allowed to get to know ourselves when we grow up. We're just like, this is you, or you're my child, you're a Black kid. It's like you just have this label, but you don't, like, I didn't know who Malay was until like I was allowed to like get to know myself. And most people don't have that. Because me, I'm honest, I'm not surrounded by a lot of people. I didn't grow up around a lot of family. So it was inevitable for me to have to get to know myself. But a lot of people, they grow up around a lot of family. They have a lot of friends, and it's easier for them to socialize. So they never think that they need to find themselves, because they think this is me. Like, you know, I go out, I party, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter. And it's like, I don't know. It's like Black women, we severely lack a sense of self.
I don't know. I was the opposite. I was the complete opposite, because I was the oddball out in my entire family. Like, I grew up in like I said, a predominantly Black and Hispanic neighborhood, and I clung to the white and Hispanic because the Black people didn't accept me, but also within my own family. Like, my family's from Louisiana. They're very country. They're very just, you know, like, they used to make fun of me as well. And they all play sports. They did things that the typical, you know, Black family would do. Play basketball, soccer, athletic, run track. I was none of that. And that was by force. Like, I could not run. I was not athletic. Like, I had none of that passed down to me. So I literally had to find myself by myself. Like, I accidentally getting into what is it called? UIL competitions, where I did storytelling competitions. And what Black girl do you know that was doing storytelling? I was the only Black girl in there doing that. And it was like, I would act out things. I would say poems. I would do speeches. Like, I was doing that. And like, none of my family was there. My family was there supporting my sister, who plays sports, basketball, volleyball. They were at her games. But when it came down to me and my speech in theater and like UIL competitions, nobody was there. Like, I was there by myself. Wow. But it paid off, because I'm in media. I work in news. Like, I do YouTube. Like, I date outside my race. Like, I do things so differently, where they're always judging me for it. But now they just be like, oh, that's just how B. Taylor is.
Right.
Is like, you know, B. Taylor, she don't care. Like, they used to tell me I had jungle fever. Like, I wasn't scared to step out the box because I was forced out the box. I never fit in the box. So I was always looking at them from the outside in anyway.
And see, I think that's the thing, is like, everybody, like me, like my intuition got me through life. Like, my intuition of like just this small piece of me always knowing like, this is not right. And like, you know, like, there's nothing wrong with you. Even if I was telling myself something wrong with you, my intuition, it got me through, because it was just a feeling of like, this doesn't feel like you, this doesn't feel like you, this doesn't feel like you. And I'm so glad that you were able to find that faster than others, because like, when I tell you, I was shutting me down every time, because everybody in my life was telling me there's something wrong with me. Like, again, I'm too big, I'm too tall, I speak a certain way. I'm very quick-witted. So like I'm there with the, the replies and the remarks, and it was everything I did. I'm so different. I'm taller than everybody else in my family. I'm not how can I say? And this started from a young age. So I never got the chance to like show anybody or show myself like who I really was, because as soon as I was born, all these labels got put on me. It was just a mess. And so that's why it's like so sad when you see these girls and it's like you don't even know that you don't know like the whole like black, like the mean mug, that's a black person thing. That's like nobody else says, oh yeah, this Indian guy mean mugged me. Like he's not going to tell his family that, because that doesn't happen. So when you got these girls out here and they just sneering at you, it's like, because do you hear about black women being happy? How they look at you, if you smile at them, they look at you weird. Like, what are you doing? That's not code.
Mola, thank you so much for coming up here and sharing. I'm going to move on to the next caller, okay?
Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome. Okay, she was my only Patreon member. Now, I gave the link to the Patreon members first. So now I'm going to bring up Christy. Is there anything that you want to add before I bring up? Oh, wait. Are you on mute?
Sorry, I put myself on mute. Okay. No, it's just interesting hearing her say that, because it reminded me of some girls that were like taller and bigger, and they were like seen as the aggressive one, and always was like, just like the ones that you feel like you couldn't talk to or you were scared of. And that was probably coming from a space of just insecurity, if we look at it from that standpoint. So it just made me think about my childhood. Some girls that like, I thought that was like mean for no reason, or they look mean, and I was scared to approach them. And really it was, like I said, defense mechanism.
Right. Okay, Christy, you're up next. What would you like to add?
Hey, Yoni. Hey, B. Taylor.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. First of all, you guys on camera, it's an abomination for me not to be on camera, but I swear next time I will be.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
No problem. But honestly, this is such a good topic that I don't hear talked about. B. Taylor, I want to tell you, sis, I can resonate with you wholeheartedly. I'm from Massachusetts. My whole life, I've been told that you talk like a white girl, black snow bunny. It's like, okay, you know what? It's cool. It's okay. But I will say this. When I was younger, I cared so much about what people thought. I mean, I grew up around Italians, Polish, Cambodians, a lot of Puerto Ricans, Dominicans in my hometown. But when I moved to DC, girl, when I went to college in Boston, it was a counter situation. I had never been around so many African Americans in my life. So I have to tell you, it's really embarrassing the way that we talk to each other. I've heard comments like, why are you always so happy? Why are you always like so perky?
Yes. Oh my God.
It's why are you always smiling? Why are you not smiling?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It kind of starts to get under your skin how you can just be living your life and the girl next to you doesn't like it. And you're offended. Like, what, sis? Like, why are you mad at me? You don't even know me from a can of paint. The second I open my mouth and I show my vibe, it's like, ugh, who is that?
Yeah.
That's the problem that a lot of us Black women have. We don't like each other for what we look at each other as a competition instead of allies. And that is the problem. And I think what makes it a little different for me too is I grew up with Nigerian parents. So I was raised a little bit to kind of just, it don't matter what country someone's from, where someone's from. I'm an American, but still I always felt like growing up, I was kind of an outsider with other African Americans, not just me, my twin sister. So I feel like now at 34 years old, I'm more confident in who I am. I don't care if you don't like me, you don't know me, you should get to know me. We can be great friends. So, it's kind of like that is an epidemic in the Black community with women. Stop being envious of your sister that you don't know, you've never met, you've never spoken to. Go up there. If you think she's pretty, tell her, I like your hair. Where did you get that shirt? Where did you get those shoes? You know what I mean? Just build a relationship. Try your best to step outside your comfort zone. And honestly, Yanni, you had asked, why do you think it's hard for us to do that? It's because we are fearful of being judged. We're fearful of what someone next to us will think about us. Oh, she thinks she's better. Who does she think she is doing X, Y, and Z? That type of mentality can start to weigh on you. When you hear that a lot, it can start to weigh on you, and it can keep you more quiet and more silent. Don't let anybody's opinion of you keep you silent and stop you from being naturally who you are. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, Christy. I really do appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you so much, ladies. I'll be listening.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Was there
Now,
anything
you
you
know
wanted to
what?
add?
That reminded me when she said that, where they like, why are you so happy? I remember I went out with a group of Black girls in college, and this is me trying to find my way. And they accused me of faking being drunk because I was just too happy for no reason. They're like, why are you laughing and being like that? We're not even drunk yet. And I'm like, because I'm happy that I'm out. I'm happy I'm with my friends. I'm happy that there's guys here that I like, and I want to smile.
Right.
And they accused me of faking drunk. They said there's no way I could just genuinely just laugh and stuff like that. They thought I was just like pretending. It was crazy. But that's a flashback. Girl, I've gotten in fights. Like, I'm telling you, like, I've gotten in fist fights with Black girls because of them just not liking my demeanor. They thought I was too friendly. They thought I was easy to punk. They're like, oh, okay, we can punk her because they thought they could punk me because I was nice and friendly and outgoing. So they thought, okay, well, she's all of that. She can't fight. Baby, I'ma just
it's always the bubbly one though. Because you have a very bubbly personality, aura, just you're likable, and I think that may have been the issue as well. But bubbly Black girls, we tend to be happy-go-lucky. We're happy for the most part. Like, people confuse my passion for being angry, but it's like I'm rarely mad. I rarely do have an attitude because having an attitude takes too much energy. Like, honestly, to have an attitude and to carry it out through the entire day, I would rather just be happy, because happiness is I actually get to be more relaxed. But when you have an attitude, it's like you got to be all tensed up and
mad for no reason. For what? And then, like, when I tried to have that persona, right, I had men tell me, like, you didn't seem approachable when you look like that. But you know what? Anytime I did look like that, or I had a stank face, because I remember I did go through a phase in college where I had a stank face and the guys didn't approach me, but that was because I was insecure. I was insecure. I was like so nervous about how I looked. Did I look ugly? I was comparing myself to my friends and like, oh my God, their outfit looks so good and mine looks so basic. So I sat there with like a straight face in protection mode. So once I kind of like started finding who I was outside of my parents, because I grew up very sheltered. So that was also another thing, trying to find who is B. Taylor, you know, after being sheltered for so long. So I started experimenting with clothes and hair, and I started bringing out my personality again. And the guys was just like, oh my God, you just seem so approachable like first semester. Now you look better. Like, you look more attractive because you're being yourself and you're smiling and you're being nice. But that's because I was coming from insecurity. I was scared to just be too friendly because I was scared to be judged on how I looked and how I was acting, you know?
That's crazy. But yes, ladies, I like how you brought up that point where you said you explored and experimented with your look and your style, and you became more comfortable in your skin to where you felt like you didn't have to have that defense mechanism up constantly. So I hope the ladies heard that, because that is a huge part in your personal development, becoming more self-aware, becoming more into who you are as a woman, your womanhood. I know we like to just chalk it up as like a femininity thing, but really it's you coming up with your own style, what you like, how you like to style your hair, how you like to dress yourself, how you like to carry yourself. Like, it's all about how you want that to look. So then you're not in defense mode constantly because you don't feel confident on the inside, because it's really about how you feel on the inside. Don't wear nothing if you're not going to feel 1,000% confident in it. If you're just buying it because somebody else buys it or somebody else is telling you to buy it, but you don't feel comfortable and confident in it, you need to return it, because the whole purpose of you putting on that attire is to make yourself to feel confident and not insecure. So you got to be careful with that. I'm going to bring up another caller. Is it Lewin?
Yes. Hi, honey. How are you?
Good. How are you? What would you like to add to tonight's conversation?
So I think I'm actually going to be the antithetical voice this evening.
Okay.
So I'd like to preface by saying you can probably tell by my voice, like I didn't beat the Oreo allegations growing up. So I totally understand where everybody's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like every few months we rediscover that Black people, especially Black women, are human. And they have variable characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us are mean, naturally. Some of us are nice, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us are altruistic. Some of us are introverted, extroverted. But I feel like I say this because oftentimes there seems to be, we do something that white people do similarly to Black people, in that we expect greater moral upstanding from Black people than we do anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's simply not fair, because just like any other group of humans, Black people are, like I said, not a monolith. We say it all the time, and it also is the same here. You cannot expect a type of niceness that is packageable and palatable to every other human, even if they do share the same skin color, because you have an unearned sense of familiarity with this person. It's just not how the world works. And it's also, again, putting a similar constraint on what it should look like to be a Black person that white people already put on us. And that, again, they're expecting greater moral upstanding from Black people than anybody else, because we're supposed to be these noble savages that can just take the beatings, and or bend or yield in any given day to what people expect of us. So I always kind of tread lightly with conversations that kind of delve into this realm. And it's also probably because this is the same for me. I used to feel similarly to that when I was younger, but when I looked at who was also my greatest support system, and other friends that are Black greatest support system, 9 times out of 10, it's made primarily of Black women. Even if they're growing up in white communities, 9 times out of 10, the people that are really going to support you in a pinch. Of course, this is not for everybody. It's probably Black women. For my friends that are cosplayers, and my friends that are influencers, and my friends that are doing all these great things, Black women enterprising, the people that are supporting them right now as they grow are other Black women. And so yes, I'm not saying that, meeting a mean Black woman is such a rarity and it's such a unicorn and it's not a problem that exists.
Mm-hmm.
But if we look at a lot of our experiences, and even empirically, Black women are generally the people that are going to support their community on the grand and individual level. And empirically, Black women are usually read as unapproachable. I mean, that's just psychological studies have said over and over again that even if we're on neutral, sometimes Black women can come off as unapproachable. And that's not just to other races, it's to Black people too. So just want to provide, a different look. Again, not saying that anybody's experience is invalid, but just adding a different kind of context.
It's a great point of view, though, because, and the reason why I want to say it is a great point of view, because it got me thinking. It got me over here thinking like a lot of different ways right now, because I'm like, you know what? You're right. Damn. Am I posed a question, do we feel entitled to Black women to act a certain way simply because we're Black?
I disagree. I'm sorry.
Like, because I wouldn't feel entitled to a white woman or even a Hispanic woman to even pay me any attention, but a Black woman, I do. I feel a sense of entitlement. Like, you should acknowledge me. You should be nice to me. Like, we're both Black. Is it because of the oppression that we have experienced as Black women, where we feel entitled to each other, that we have to be sisterhood? We have to get along. Like,
I think so. I mean, just as
we
much.
Gotta be real, Yoni.
It's a question. It's just a point of view. I'm not set in stone on this point of view, but it is a question. Like, do we feel entitled to each other to have them, like, to have another Black woman treat us a certain type of way simply because she's Black?
I totally think so, right? I go out oftentimes, and so my fiance is white. And I only mention this because it's relevant to the anecdote. But a lot of times, like I said, there is, and not just from Black woman to Black woman, but from Black person to Black person, this unearned sense of familiarity where somebody is saying something that is not always complimentary and is said with a caring tone, but it is demeaning or insulting. Right. So for instance, when I go out with my fiance, it's not uncommon for me to have a Black person tap my shoulder when he goes to the restroom or something, says, well, you know, you can always come home, sister. And I'm like, you don't know me, sir. I could be a coon. I mean, you have no idea what my standing is, and that's not your place to tell me that. However, I do think that it comes from the same idea of we share a skin tone or we share a cultural background. So some of the initial borders that might exist to kind of ease into human interaction is non-existent in this case.
But we're more, if you want to, if we really think about it, like I've been in so many different experiences where I've seen Black women go out their way for different races and more nicer to them than they are to their own sisters. Now I feel like there's a sense of sisterhood now. I don't know if it's due to like social media, but like when we go out, we look at each other and we'll be like, yes, sis, okay.
Right. It has gotten better.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as it was when I was growing up. Now, when I was growing up, I'm not gonna lie. Like I've seen Black women support other races nicer to them. But when it's like, okay, say if it's okay, for example, I cannot dance to save my life. I did not get the rhythm, right? But when it's a white girl hitting the dance floor, all the Black girls are like, yep, and everything. Let my little Black self get up there and be off beat. They gonna be like, girl, sit down.
That
like,
is so true.
They are not cheering me on. They are telling me to go sit my ass down and embarrassed and laughing at me and snickling with their friends and recording me. So let's not, because I've had plenty of experiences.
I believe you, and I've had the same experiences, but I think that also goes back to what I said, in that we do not have the same grace that we have for Black people that we do for other people. I think that is another
it's
side
just
of
in
the coin
reverse.
Yeah, absolutely.
So B. Taylor, you're both saying the same thing, but in reverse.
But
I do have a question for you, B. Taylor. Okay. So my question for you is, when it comes to like your other friends that are non-Black, do you have that same sense of entitlement when you see them, when you see Hispanic women out? Like, do you have that same sense of entitlement that they need to acknowledge you and they need to, they need to smile towards you or be friendly towards you? Do you have that same entitlement, or is it just geared towards Black women?
I think it's towards anybody. Like, and they I don't have to think of it. I know that they're gonna smile. I know that they're gonna say hello. Like, I know that they're gonna pass by and give me a look. And if they give me a look and I smile, they smile back.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
I've not, unless it was like a racist or something, but
right.
I get that vibe. But like, I have not had any problems with any moms or anything. Like, if anything, like I'm in an area where it's like a lot of suburban moms. They're inviting me to go drink. They invited me for wine nights. While the Black moms, they just, and I understand, like a lot of them are probably on the go. They busy, they working like I am. So I understand it, but they really like don't go out their way to speak. And even I dated a guy. I dated a Black man, and he took me to a party to meet his friends. And when we left, he told me, like, he checked me and was like, you was being way too friendly in there. Like, you knew them girls. Like, I'm not used to dating a Black girl like that. Like, it's like, why can't you just kind of just sit there and be chill? And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, well, you was just talking to everybody like you knew them. And I was like, that's just my personality. That you should embrace that about me. But if anything, he like didn't like that about me. He told me not to do that. And so when we went out again, I randomly met some white women, and we were, the most friendly in women is drunk white women. Okay. They will be your best friend that day. So I was in Austin just talking to these white women, and we're just talking and laughing. And he again checks me and was like, why are you being so, like, these people? Like, he was like almost offended. Like, it was so strange to him to see a Black woman getting along with so many women. And he just was like, what is this? And even like his family and his sisters didn't like me because and I said, I don't understand why your sisters don't like me. Well, one of them, and they were like, well, she just thinks you're too friendly. And I'm like, oh my God, childhood trauma. Like, this brings me all the way back to my childhood. Like,
do they think it's fake or something? Like, what?
I do think that it's fake because they don't think that, like, why are you so like, why are you going out your way to like speak to people? And I don't understand. Like, life is too short. Why not speak to other people? You never know who you're gonna meet. Like, I don't know. I thought it was weird.
Girl, I don't be stepping in nobody's house and not speak to the people that live there. Like I make my rounds. I make sure I speak to the people, especially when I'm walking in somebody's house. But even when I'm being invited to a space, I feel the need to introduce myself. Like, hey, my name's blah blah blah. What's your name? And like there should be like a whole introduction like that's made when you first get into whatever environment you're entering into, especially if somebody invited you and you don't know nobody there, you know? So that's crazy. But Luann, thank you so much for coming up here and sharing your thoughts. I'm going to move on to another caller, okay?
Yeah, no worries. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
Thank you. You too.
Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hi. What would you like to add to tonight's conversation?
So everybody had like a really interesting perspective,
Mhm.
and I'm the woman that I don't think I'm the agreeable or approachable type. Like I that developed over the years, and it's because I was bullied.
Okay.
Here, go to the other room, sweetie. Sorry, I'm talking to my son in the background.
That's okay.
Multitasking. But yeah, like I was bullied really bad by the black kid. So unfortunately, colorism was really popular at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and me having really dark black skin,
Mm-hmm.
but still being an FBA, I was made fun of for that. And also having a voice where it's not as white, quote unquote, white as it was,
Mm-hmm.
but I was, called Oreo, and it was just all types of different names that I was called.
And
And
is this something that you feel will still continues on till this day, like the same type of bullying in the same way, or do you feel
no, absolutely not. No.
do
So
you,
I've always liked the way I looked, but I felt like an alien once I went to school. So like before I went to the suburbs, I was at all black schools. I'm from the Midwest, by the way, and so like I don't know how it is like in certain parts down south. I heard certain parts, I guess like they love dark skin, but I'm
Mhm.
from the Midwest, Kansas City. So they, like
Okay.
here, they, like they talk real bad about having really African looking features in general.
Mm-hmm.
But having black skin, it was like, back in the 90s, early 2000s, it was something that I think it was a projection,
Right.
where they didn't like looking at me, and they let me know that, they treated
Mhm.
me a certain way. And so I had to
So
put on a
you
fake
felt like
exterior.
you were a mirror to their insecurities and their self-hatred and their projection of all of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you feel that this is something that continues today? Do you feel like you still get that same type of treatment from people, or are you really afraid to like allow people to get close to you to find out?
Well, I don't care anymore, really, when it comes to that sense, because it seems like it changed probably I'm gonna say probably in like 2014. Like like people started talking about colorism more.
Mm-hmm.
People started to feel some type of way about how the community was talking about their own race,
Mm-hmm.
like so I feel like people do have that understanding, and they did the interpersonal work with themselves to actually understand that it's not okay to make fun of people in our race because of how close to Africa they look, because that's ironic and contradicting and hypocritical and all that, but I just I just gave up. um
Are you open to it today or no?
I'm open to conversations and
Mm-hmm.
mingling with a lot of people, and I still do. I'm like very confident with myself with meeting black girls. I'm not one of those black girls that hate black girls. I'm
Right.
very comfortable, but I've realized that besides the fact that I was already outcast because of the skin thing and the bullying thing, I was also outcast because I was a weirdo. I was a dancer, but I was also an artist. And so, you know, when I was in the city doing that stuff, I was always looked at from afar, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll be, they'll chuckle at me, they'll laugh and stuff like that. And they'll bring me along to be part of the joke, but I found out that I was the joke.
Mm.
So it hurt my feelings,
Right.
and it made me become comfortable being the person that's behind the scenes. And so anytime I do see Black girls, they kind of see me as weird as fuck because I support them, but they think that I'm maybe gay or that I'm just being fake or something because I'm really supporting them. And I'm like, no, like I'm giving you all love, but I know how to stay in my place in behind the scenes. I don't like being in the middle or in the front or anything like that. I don't like that. And
And
it's not an insecurity thing because I know I'm beautiful. I'm actually like all types of races tell
But
me
no,
how I
no,
look, you know. But
you're actually making a great point because I noticed this as well. Black girls don't know how to receive Black girls that don't like a lot of attention. Like it's almost like due to our culture, like Black girls are supposed to love attention, like it, but the girls that really don't like it, like it's
yeah,
not a front. We're not being weird. We're not being like creepy or anything. We just don't like being center of attention. And sometimes when you're the Black girl, especially when it comes to certain spaces, people expect that of you. And it's just like, no, like, yes, I'm a Black woman, but I still don't want to be in the middle and I don't want all eyes on me. You know, I can support you in the shadows, but don't expect
right,
me to come out and be in the mix of everything because that's just not my personality. So you made a
right.
great point. But one other point that I do want to make with you, well, a question that I want to ask, because you said when you started that you feel that you're not the approachable Black woman. So my question is, how can women approach you to make you feel comfortable? Like, because you're the type that some may bump into on the street and we don't know how to approach you that would make you more comfortable to where you would be approachable. So maybe like if you could explain, how would you like to be approached considering what you have been through?
Well, this is also like a spectrum with this because I feel like there are girls in the Black community that legit don't even look approachable. I feel like I look approachable when it comes to my aesthetic because some people say I naturally look scared or um like just like I don't smile a lot. I don't
Mm-hmm.
smile.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have a natural pout literally on my face all the time. And I'm comfortable with not smiling. I don't care to do that. I will smile if another Black girl is smiling. Um, but I just think I'm awkward. I just think it's like just part of my archetype, you know. Like I said, some girls really see me as gay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some girls they maybe they get this vibe that it's just like something odd or weird about me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, it is what it is. I just feel like this is just like part of my archetype. Like some other callers might be able to give you a better answer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and some callers, like I said, they do fit a more unapproachable exterior when it comes to how they dress as well. Um, you know, like if especially like if you're coming from the hood and you represent it to the fullest, you
I
know.
wonder why they keep calling, like, saying, why do they think that you're gay?
Right. That's what I'm trying to understand.
So that came from like when I was in, especially like when I was in middle school a lot. I had to put on this exterior. I noticed that the girls that were around me that were my color, they didn't get bullied if they cussed, if they act extra tough, and if they kind of would like start the like kind of just like start the shit first, you know? And
Right.
so I kind of, you know, I was like, you know what, maybe I need to put on that persona too, you know, so I wouldn't be bullied so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I would even defend my friends because I was still a girl's girl. And so I would defend my friends and, you know, I'm fighting, like, I went to Paseo. And so, like, I was fighting niggas, you know, like,
Girl,
talking to them and
potato,
stuff,
that
you
ain't
know.
no joke, honey. I'm sorry, that's no joke. So that
So,
paints a picture for me.
yeah. And so it's like I would fight
Damn.
niggas after school and stuff. Like, I didn't like that I had to do that, but they just didn't, they despised me because of my look, you
So you
know?
had to
Like,
fight. You had
so
to
I had,
fight. Yeah.
yeah, you know, all my life I had to fight. Like, yes,
Yeah.
that was me. Like, I I didn't want to. I wasn't comfortable doing it. It always tired me out.
Yeah.
I
Dang,
feel like it protected me as well.
How are you
But
doing
at this,
dealing with that now? Because my mom was a fighter. My mom was very dark skinned and she grew up always fighting. So like it's just kind of reminding me of my mom and how she grew up like she had this exterior. Although my mom passed away, so I didn't get to know her. But just hearing you and saying that, it just makes me think of my own mom, how she grew up. Because everybody will always say she was the protector. So you're the protector of your friend group, right?
I don't really have any friends.
Yeah.
I have a lot of acquaintances. It's a lot of people I give love to.
Yeah.
I'll give them support. I'll give them a heads up if some bullshit's going down and I see it because I'm the one I can peep all that.
But they call you
I'm a
like
good leader.
they call are you the person that they call?
Nobody calls me anymore.
Oh,
Like I think it also came from my family too, because they didn't realize how hard it was going on at school, like how much I was getting bullied. And so when they used to watch me dance and stuff like that, I didn't do all those twerking dances. I'm still not really good at that type of dance. I do like the ballet, the ballroom, or some street dancing. So like when Sierra came out, I wanted to be Sierra, and I was dancing like her. I was, like doing all the contortions and all of that. And I was like, she is gay.
Oh,
I don't know what just happened. Okay, we're gonna move on. She dropped off. Okay, so I just want to state the purpose of this live. The purpose of this live is to hear other Black women and their experiences so that we can understand each other. Because I think that's part of the problem. And like I said earlier in the beginning of this live, I said I really think that there's just a misunderstanding. I don't even think that we want to be mean towards each other. I don't think, when it comes to the colorism conversation, a lot of us were just not educated, honestly. And it was a lot of ignorance during that time. And I'm glad she brought that up because a lot of us were just, I know me personally, like I was walking around saying good hair, and I was walking around saying like, oh, he got they got green eyes and hazel. I was out here saying like the dumb stuff, but I was repeating what I had been sold, I was repeating things that I heard in the beauty shop. I was repeating what I overheard adults say or what I saw on TV. Unfortunately, during that time, a lot of ignorance was in our community when it came to colorism.
Yeah.
So I'm glad she mentioned that. But there was a turning point, I would say, back in 2014. So I think that side of this conversation should be getting better. I hope. But the only way
so you cannot go online like that whole it make me cringe because the older women in our family still talk like that.
Yeah, they do.
So my son, he has very curly, loose texture hair, and they always talk about he got that good hair, and I'm like, no, don't say that because that's not what that mean. And I don't want you putting that in his head where he's going to grow up thinking like, oh yeah, this is what good hair, this is what bad hair. Because kids, when they grow up, they only think good and bad. Yep. They don't think like, okay, my hair is good, so your hair is like, your hair. No, they say your hair is bad if it don't look like mine or similar to mine. So I hope we're getting better because back in 2012, 11, it was like team dark skin, team light skin. That whole war thing was going on Twitter.
Yeah, I hope it's getting better, but y'all gonna have to let us know when you come up here. Okay, next caller. What would you like to add to tonight's conversation?
Oh, hi, Yoni. I just wanted to say I love your channel.
Thank you.
I do want to say I do have that same story that everyone has where, I was called the Oreo. I talked too white and stuff like that. But I don't think it ever really stopped me from always wanting like Black friends. So, and it kind of gives me it makes me cringe a little bit when I hear some women where they're like, yeah, they called me Oreo and stuff. And they'll say the same sentiments that one girl from Bad Girls Club, that Megan girl, she said the exact same thing, but women were telling her, oh, well, that's, why are you talking like that? All Black women, you weren't being bullied. But then when Black women say it, they're like, oh, I totally agree. I went through that the same way. And we're both saying the same thing. The only thing is, one was biracial, the other one was a Black woman. But also I feel like the reason why so many women, Black women especially, can't find friends is because we lack that vulnerability with each other, where we know what it's like to walk in your shoes, regardless of where you're from. I know what it's like to be a Black woman in America and to feel all that pressure and all that from social media, from parents and all that stuff. But, for some reason, if I'm up to you and I have a mean face, you also have a mean face. But if I say hi, I see so many women where they light up and they're like, "Oh, hi." You know what I mean? It's almost like you kind of have to be the first one
to
to be
initiate
like,
it.
I'm nice. I'm nice. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I just feel like a lot of us, we're just not vulnerable enough with each other because it's almost like looking in a mirror. And what
You
would
bring
hurt?
up a great point because okay, so I do this thing. When I'm out, I don't fish to give women compliments, but I like to give compliments because I know what it's like to just wish someone would just say something nice to me
Mhm.
because I wasn't in a good place. So if I see a woman and there's something that I genuinely like about her, like her nails, her hair, her shoes, I make sure that I make that known to her
Mhm.
because and it's crazy because I do it to everybody. I don't just base it off of a stereotype or anything. If it's something that I like, I'm gonna let her know, hey sis, I like your nails, I like your shoes, I like your hair, I like your shirt. And the response from Black women has always been positive. I get this big energy. It goes from like this very small energy to this big energy, and it was almost like she's in this shell, she's in this armor, and she don't know what she about to deal with. And then as soon as I hit her with that compliment, it goes into this thank you, like thank you so
Yeah.
much, like I appreciate. Oh, that is so sweet. And I'm like, you're welcome. And it's really good energy. So one thing that I've noticed about us as Black women, like we are in survival mode. Like we going outside because we really don't know what we're gonna deal with. And it's crazy how a compliment can break or crack that shell to where all of a sudden you see a totally different person, you see their personality, you see their big energy, and they're just so warm and inviting after
Mhm.
that. But it's after that I noticed. So you brought up a great point.
Yeah, and I just think it hurts. It hurts more because, like, I've said hi to women, white women, Hispanic women, and if they don't say hi back, I'm like, oh, okay, but whatever. But it hurts. It hurts me at least so much worse if I say hi to a Black woman and she gives me an
Yes.
attitude. And it's almost like I don't know. Like I'll go home and be like, so did I say something wrong? Was it my tone? And it's just because it's like looking in the mirror. I know what it's like to be you, even though I don't know you. I know what
Right.
it's like to live in your shoes, regardless.
Hmm.
But so why can't we just be vulnerable? And I don't mind being that first person to say, oh my God, I love your nails, and
Hmm.
then just to see that smile, to me it's worth so much more. And honestly, I would say like 9 times out of 10 I do get that energy back. And
Right.
it's almost like, oh, okay, see, I just had to break, I just had to be the first one. But I don't mind doing that if it meant I made a connection with the Black woman in the street.
Right.
So
Right. I
but
agree.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for coming up here and sharing. I'm gonna
thank
move
you
on to the
so
next
much.
caller. You're welcome.
Bye bye.
Okay, next caller.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? What would you like to add to tonight's conversation?
Oh, I would like to add, what was I gonna say? I had like a whole like thing like listed out in my head. Give me 2 seconds to conjure
Okay.
it real quick. Um, oh yeah. So like for me, like, like I'm like that black girl who was like raised around like too many white people.
Hmm.
And one thing that I realized is is that black people always try to put each other like in a group, and like I feel like these groups are made based on like the experiences these black people had, and we all know that the black community doesn't have a ton of resources. So when they meet somebody later in life after they like have made enough for themselves to get out there and experience new things, I feel like a lot of times what I experience is people like not really knowing how to take me, and then like putting me in a box where like everything that I do is pretty much bad. And I was like telling like my father, I'm like, if I was a white man with all the characteristics that I have in the black community, I feel like they're seen as bad. But if I was a white man with these same characteristics, I would be seen as a good leader. You know what?
Ooh.
Like I would be seen as strong. I would be seen as very competent. But I feel like in the black community, once you make a little mistake, it's always blown way out of proportion. And that's like something that I really have a tough time with, because I
Mm.
know that when I'm with like my white friends, like I'm given like a lot of grace, and you know, that's something that I really don't experience in the Black community. I feel like in the Black community, I'm really studied and looked at as a Black woman as like something that is to be understood through studies and statistics. While like in other communities, I'm not just going to say the white community because like there's like a bunch of people, but like in other communities, I'm more understood as a person who's like who has experiences.
I think, is Yanni still there? I don't know if her computer kicked her out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Oh,
I think she's still fine. Okay, where'd you go? I was like, did I take over the show?
I was like, oh, this is B Taylor show.
This is a mess. I don't know what happened. StreamYard just kicked me out, and then its message came up and said, "You've been kicked out. It's not your fault. If this happens again, contact." So I'm like, oh my god, I hope the live
I
didn't.
was like, girl, I was about to just ask her some questions. Like,
But I'm sorry. Go ahead and continue because it was getting good.
Oh yeah, I'm all done.
Oh,
but I don't know what you missed.
Oh, well, okay. Well, the last part that you were mentioning where you were saying that the characteristics that you have, you said that if it was a white man, Black people would love you for it, but because you're a Black woman, Black people cannot stand you for it. But then you also said as a community, we tend to put each other in boxes, and then it just
Oh yeah, I said we put each other in boxes, and I feel like these boxes come up because we have limited experience outside of our areas a lot of the time. Like I know a bunch of Black people who don't travel so much. Like I'm not going to say they aren't cultured, like they understand different people's cultures, but they haven't really experienced them to like the extent of you going to like a different country and like being with the people. And I feel like a lot of things that I accumulated came from me traveling, came from me being around people who like had like the same, you know, the same interests that I do. And when I go to the Black community, I'm seen like much more as an outsider, and it's so unknown that it's almost like it's almost demonized like so quick. I'm like, y'all didn't even give me a chance. Like I'm chilling. Like okay, I like people make mistakes. I'm not gonna say that I'm perfect, but like for real, like I always feel like I'm on guard with my own people, even though like I have such a soft spot for them, and I can be very patient and very understanding because I do understand that a lot of the things we do go through is stemming from trauma. So like, you know, like that's easy for me to like wrap my head around, but like it's just painful in a sense because then I have to go to like the white community, and like I'm not trying to throw shade at them, but like you know what I mean, like I want to be with
what you mean, girl.
yeah, but like I want to be with my own people, like you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to chill with y'all, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to go to the cookout, I'm trying to do all that.
I wouldn't give up. I wouldn't give up hope. I wouldn't give up hope. I think proximity to who you're around is who you're going to be most likely friends with. So one thing that I've been doing, I did it. It's the best thing. I keep trying to tell the girls, you need to do it. First of all, you need to clean up your social circle. You got to clean it up.
Like, you have to
clean it up. And when I say clean it up, get rid of the people that want to gossip, because those people are gossiping about you, basically. So that's number one. So when I say clean up your circle, go off of who gossips about who. You can start with that person. Go ahead and remove them because they gossip about you. Then when you clean up your social circle, then put yourself out there to meet like-minded Black women. Like you have to put yourself in spaces, in certain hobby groups, in certain event groups and things like that you're interested in, because you're going to attract Black women with your mindset. And what we tend to do as Black women, we tend to stay loyal and to stay friends with the girls that we grew up with. And that was great. And that served you a purpose when you were younger. But now that you are growing into your womanhood, there are new things that you have found interest in. And so when you put yourself back out there, make sure to put yourself out there in rooms, settings, events, hobbies, whatever that you enjoy, and you will meet other Black women. Like I plan on starting Pilates. And I'm going to a Black studio, and I am like, oh my God, I found a Black studio. I'm so excited about this because
you got to tell me about that after this.
High and low. And I'm like, oh my God, I cannot wait to go to this Pilates class and see other Black women there and hope to build friendship and community through this activity that I've never tried before. So I think it's just something that it's gonna take time, and it's gonna naturally happen for you. But you got to clean up your social circle. and you got to let go of those women that you just don't relate to anymore. And it's
What
not
about those
hard
cousins?
feelings. Mm-hmm.
What about those cousins? I just had a discussion
Ooh,
about
we.
the cousins that I grew up with. We all around the same age, but it seemed like there was a shift once I went to college, and and it was like when I came back from college, and I was like, "Hey, cousin," they was like, yeah, like just real dry, real like I was just a stranger. They didn't really want to talk to me. My feelings was so hurt because I was like, what did I do? You know, this is we the same cousins that grew up together and they made up dances together, and now it's just different because what? Like, you know, I'm still me, but then I had to think about it, and I'm like, am I? Because I'm going a certain place and they feel threatened because they're still where they are. So you also got to probably cut off some family members that's messy.
You know what? That's a good lie to have, honestly, about how, because Black women statistically we are the most successful, and a lot of us tend to play that role where we don't have any children, we're not married yet, somehow we're responsible for all of these grown adults. Like, we made our choice, we made our decision, and it should have just been that we should go out and live our life. But somehow we get stuck in these roles in our family where we're held to certain standards and responsibilities that truly are not our own. So I'm not gonna go off on that end because that's another topic. I'm gonna keep that in the back of my mind and do another live panel about that, because I see that a lot. I see that a lot. It's not our responsibility to carry the community, the family, and then you're not even carrying just your parents. You carrying your siblings, your cousins, they kids. I'm like, damn, you know. So that's another live that we're gonna have to have a conversation about. But Leisha, did you have anything else that you wanted to add before I move on to another caller?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming up here and sharing your perspective as well. It was a great one.
Thank you, Yoni. Bye, B Taylor.
Bye.
Okay. Kay, you're up next. What would you like to add to this conversation?
Hi. Hello, sisters.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Good.
So the perspective that I wanted to share is one of the sheltered girl.
Oh. Ooh.
And the interesting thing is that I grew up in a hood. And but I got to go to a very diverse school that was phenomenal and really taught me a lot. But back home, I would go back home and I would get bullied and I would get no love. I just didn't fit in. But my whole point was, as I got older, I got more spiritual, and it makes you reflect a lot. And my biggest takeaway or point that I have is I think sometimes life be lifing, if that makes sense.
Yes, it
Like,
does.
I realize, everything goes the way it does so that you can be whole again. And for me, being sheltered, I didn't know a lot. I didn't have a lot of experiences. And I also was more on the less fortunate side. So even though we were all in the hood, I grew up in Robbins. I don't know if you guys know Kiki Palmer, Dwayne Wade. It's by Chicago, but it's not Chicago.
Okay.
Like, if you not from Chicago, you say from Chicago. Chicago people do not like it, honey. So don't do that. But so by me being on the less fortunate side, although I lived in the hood, everybody else were more fortunate. And what I realized by me being less fortunate, it helped me just kind of find my craft and just be more creative and make a way out of no way, versus the people that had it. Now I'm not going to say that they don't have it, but I could just see where I am and where they are. And I'm thankful for that because I didn't start there, you know? So I think a lot of times, like, even though we're all Black women, we may just look at each other, because it's not how it used to be. I think we're more well kept You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to look like our struggles. But I think the biggest thing is like just a lot of us don't have that self work that we put in, or don't have certain experiences to help us recognize, just see one another in a different way. Like if you just pick up on certain language that like, oh, that person said this, but they really mean this, and this is what it's really about. Because a lot of times it's really not about you. You know what
And
I
I'm
mean?
learning that through this conversation,
Mm-hmm.
not to take it personally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I had moved away to Minnesota for a while, and I came back, and even with family, like you're saying, B. Taylor, be your own family. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but I'm thankful for that, because even there, that was the weird part. I was around more black girls that were like what y'all call the Oreos. I'm diverse. Like I can even at school, I could sit at any lunch table. I was the
Right.
person that brought the everybody together. Like there were students that didn't speak English, from all different countries. Like I said, it was very diverse. I was the one passing the notes, and then they would like give me gum, or they would just like do something nice to help them get by. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, like I said, just even moving back home, that was an experience I had to get reacquainted, but I didn't give up because I love my family, and, um, I wanted that.
Right.
So, yeah, and that actually kind of led me to you, Yanni, because I was like, I don't get it. I don't get what's going on. And I found your channel, and it was just like girl chat, so yeah.
Well, thank you. I think another point, well, what I'm getting from your perspective is to not take things personal and to be open-minded,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't know our struggles. And we as Black women don't like to show our struggles because
Mm.
we don't like to be beaten down for it. I think that's why we tend to hide it. So that's something else that I'm kind of taking away from listening to the ladies that are coming up here, is to not take it personal if you don't get the best interaction with a Black woman, because you really don't know what she may be going through, and to not take it personal because it may have nothing to do with you. So I think again it goes back to what Luann was saying earlier when she said that she brought up a point or a thought, like, do we have a sense of entitlement to get a certain reaction out of a Black woman without considering what she may be going through or what she may be experiencing? And so that makes me think about the negative reactions I have gotten from Black women. So
That's true.
it is something to think about. But thank you, Kay, for coming up here and sharing. I really do appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
You know what? To say that, because you know what? When I go out and I see there's a Black woman that got like a stank face, or she's like mad, I go out my way to compliment her just to make her smile.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do realize that a lot of us are operating out of trauma. I feel like a lot of Black women, we understand if we're dating, this is going to be so controversial.
Go ahead.
If we dating Black men, we know we going through something with some Black men, right? We know that we either dealing with a situationship, dealing with a breakup, dealing with where we just need a word of encouragement. That's why I feel like bathroom breaks, that's for us. Because when I go to the bathroom, it's always some girl in there. We like, sis, don't you ever let no man. And we all stopping and listening, like, yes, sis, yes. Like we all cheering each
That's
other
so
on.
true. The bathroom be lit.
The bathroom be just what you need in like the club or the
It'd
lounge.
be a good pick me upper. It really
It'd
do.
be a good pick me up, but when you leave that bathroom, like, yeah, I'm not gonna text him back because he got me messed up because the random girl in the bathroom told me that I am worth it.
Right. No, like we really do be having like we be having a kumbaya moment in the bathroom for real though. Like I've had so many experiences, and I leave the bathroom feeling empowered, like, oh girl, I can take on the world. I mean, they was bigging up your outfit, your hair, your makeup, your shoes, like everything. Then they like, you need some Tylenol, you need some Advil, you need some headache powder. So it's like that's the energy that I love. And it's like I don't take those type of experiences for granted because
We
Sometimes
need
you just need
more of
that.
that. So,
Mhm,
ladies,
mhm.
if you see a black woman that look like she's just mad, don't even take it personal. Just go out your way to make her feel good because she may be dealing with a F boy.
Right. That's true. Or bills, or
Or
kids,
bills or
or she just may be
struggling.
stressed. She may have just came off a 12-hour, 16-hour shift.
That's true.
She may be stressed about finals. She may be stressed about graduation. She may be stressed about
Finances.
a wedding. She may be stressed or have cold feet because she's about to get married. You really never know. So I'm gonna try something different when I'm out here, and I'm gonna report back and see what I get. Let me move on to the next caller. Caller, hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. What would you like to add to tonight's conversation?
Yeah, so I have 2 points. So the first is about the video from the beginning.
Okay.
I just, I mean, I hear what the girl is saying. I try to be, I mean, I'm not the person who's gonna be nice first. Maybe I
Right.
should try that more, but when somebody's nice to me, any race of women, but especially black women, to be honest, because we have all these conversations now, I
Mhm.
definitely, no matter what I'm going through, because sometimes I have really bad days, but that's not her problem. So I don't like I reply, if somebody's nice to me. But the girl from the beginning, she said something that I didn't like. She compared us to other races of women, and I don't like
Yes,
that.
I
So
knew
I
it.
don't trust her now because she
Mm.
says other I mean you might have a resting defects or something like that, but why is it that other races of women don't have that? Like it reminds me of when black men say I only date white women because they're nicer. Don't do that.
Yep.
They don't walk in our shoes. Don't do that. That's rude. Like it already shows me what type of mindset you have, and I cannot trust you when you do that, because if you really care about the black women you're addressing, you would know better than to compare us to other groups. So when she said that, that took me, that kind of like upset me a little bit. So now I'm looking at her sideways, like, what's the situation like? What exact, like, I want to know each and every scenario that you're talking about, because now you might like I'm kind of like, I don't trust your judgment a little bit, so I just kind
Mhm.
of want to know. But yeah, that's what I have to say. About her. When somebody compares black women to other races of women, that just kind of makes me a little cold, because now I have to analyze them, because it
That's a
makes me
great point.
doubt if they care about us for real. Because if
Mm.
you care about us, you would know how not to compare us. And
Mhm.
then yeah, my next point. So dang, I think I forgot my next point. My next point was oh dang! I think I think I just kind of forgot, but um, I I would say like I'm originally Cameroonian. When I moved to the U.S., I think I'm a little nervous talking about that, because every time as a Central African person you open up, it becomes more about the diaspora war. So that's not what
Mhm.
I'm trying to do over here,
Right,
but
right.
yeah, I definitely had a lot of difficulties. My own mother, she was very like verbally and emotionally abusive,
Mhm.
which I had to eventually cut her off because we don't speak. We haven't spoken in a while, so we probably might, do that again in the future. But yeah, we haven't spoken in a while, so it's been a lot of beating down coming from, a lot of growing up around a lot of black women. It's been a lot of like beating down and a lot of confusion where I really had to take some time to learn. I would say forgiveness
Mhm.
and
Hmm.
yeah, forgiveness, because I think we need that a lot. Because when I think about forgiving, doesn't mean you have to like go back and hug and hold hands with the people who hurt you.
Right,
So
right.
just in case anybody's wondering, that's not what I'm saying. Because I still will not pick up the phone and speak to my mom, because basically we've been fighting a lot. But what
Mhm.
actually made me like pull that plug was that I told her that I was gonna follow my dreams in like maybe modeling, because I really want to do a commercial one day. I want to be in a commercial. So I
Mhm.
was like, okay, I'm finally gonna go after that. Like I live in Southern California, so it's like I'm close to like the industry and stuff. And then
Mhm.
when I told her that, like her reaction was so telling. She just started going on and on about when I was your age, that was my dream. And she never took time to like even congratulate me, to say, I'm so proud of you for knowing who you are now,
Mhm.
because she had her first child at my age, like what I
Mm.
am like now. So I could just tell that she was like, because she's always been in that kind of competition with me.
It sounds like you
So
trigger her.
Yeah, I definitely trigger her. Like I watched it live the other day about Dania. I was like, oh, she's so funny. Like, but yeah, I definitely trigger her insecurity. So I always felt like she was jealous of me. So when she started going on and on about how that was her dream when she was like a child, and then my birthday came like 2 weeks later, and then she ignored me on my birthday. She didn't even call me. She didn't text me nothing. And that's what she would do when I was young. She would just ignore me out of nowhere. And then I'm like, what did I do? Like, I would just be confused as to think of what I do, how I can fix it. So I was like, this toxic woman, let me just let her go. And then I blocked her number. So I don't know, we haven't spoken ever since. So it's just been a lot of beating down around me.
Damn.
And things like, before moving to the US, I didn't know like a wife and a mother in law could get along. Coming from Central African families, if you guys are familiar, you would know it's like a lot of
Wow,
women
really?
and your mother-in-laws don't get along at all. So it's like little things like that. Like I just never even see that bond between a lot of like
Women.
black women, like black girls and things like that. And then moving to US, and then I got picked on a lot. So yeah, I went to therapy a few times until I couldn't afford it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So my therapist talked about what I think it was one of the girls that went before me. She talked about when somebody does something to you, you always have to remember that it's based on your experiences, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you, like as a
Right.
person. So I always remember that. Again, I can keep loving women from a distance, but
True.
if it's too triggering or hurtful to me, but I try to be a little like, which is crazy. I'm not a very forgiving person, so I'm really, really working on that right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm really
I'm
trying to.
glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
Forgiveness.
You know
I'm
what
not.
just sparked? Something just sparked when you said this. You know how they say a woman's first love is her father, and that's how she defines her relationship with men.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us have traumatic relationships with our mother, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's what's affecting how we treat other black women and
Mhm.
how we are with other black women and how what type of relationship we have with other women in general. Because we don't
Well,
even get along with our moms.
B
Yeah.
Taylor, I swiped this video from my platform. I didn't put it up, but I said I feel like mean girls are created by mean mothers.
Yes.
And I didn't talk about it, but I wanted to talk about it because Gabrielle Union is a prime example of mean girls typically have mean mothers.
Ooh.
And I just see that a lot. I see that a lot. And I had a girlfriend of mine when I was younger. Her mother was so mean to her, and she was mean to girls. And I'm like, the way her mother was mean to her, she was mean to other women.
Yes.
So I started putting two and two together. I'm like, oh, you're a mean girl because your mother is mean to
Yeah.
you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry. Like I felt bad for her because I'm like, damn, it made me see her totally different because imagine being a young girl, you're being bullied by your mother. Your mother,
Speak on it.
and she is bullying you,
Yes.
and now you go around and you project that onto other women. So yeah,
Yep.
it's a conversation that I really want to have, but I'm like, oh,
It's
I don't
a
know if my
deep.
followers are really ready for that one.
It's you gonna be diving into some traumatic experiences
Yeah.
because they say a lot of kids who bully kids come from a parent that bullies them. And it was a video a long time ago where a kid was bullying another kid, and the parent was like, "You big da da da," like calling that child a name, punking that child, and saying, "Where did you learn this from?" And the other
Mhm.
parent was like, "From you. Look
Mhm.
how you're treating them."
Mhm.
So a lot of people that's don't know. I feel like a lot of women who don't get along with women or don't like women or don't want to be friends with women have traumatic experiences with their mother.
Mm. That's
Yeah.
true.
So my mom, she did the best she could. I
Right.
can love her from a distance, but
Right.
like, she was brutal. I can say that she was definitely brutal, and I wanted her approval so bad.
Mm.
Like, never got it. Yeah, so it was, her words. Yeah, she would make, comments about, the way I looked or things like that. Even now, I've been dealing with like a binge eating disorder. And
Mhm.
even though I've never talked about it to the, when I was in therapy, I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure it started with her, because she was the type of
Mm.
mom who, if you don't want to eat, it doesn't matter if you like the food or not, you're gonna eat whatever she's giving you, and
Mm,
you're gonna finish what's on the plate. And you're
Mhm.
like, oh no, I'm full, I can't do this anymore. She's gonna be like, oh no, no, you're not full. You're gonna eat until this is done. Because why are you rejecting my food? And like, so it started there, and then I started going to, yeah, and bullying is normal. What if, so I don't, bullying is, I think it's normal. It's not okay, but it happens.
Right,
But if
right.
you have a good support system at home, you can heal from that. You can get over that soon. But what happens when you get bullied at home, um even more so. And then, yeah, and then growing up, I was closer to my older sisters too, but I was forcing a friendship with them that wasn't there, because they also kind of were like my mom in a way. Because
Mm.
as I'm estranged to her as my mom, I'm also estranged to my sisters, because it got to a point where, I mean, I don't want to say they had to choose a side, but it turned out that they were just like, her. And as far as my healing journey goes, I'm really at this point where I don't want to be this person who blames everybody else around her. Like, I
Yeah.
really don't want to be this, because there's a say, if you constantly find yourself in a certain drama, then look at yourself.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't want to be that person who is continuously pointing the finger at, parents or like siblings, why am I cutting this family off? So hopefully when I finally get the means to get to maybe counseling or therapy, I can go through this, so it doesn't, yeah, so I don't let that affect me, especially like my future relationships, because that, like, I'm 27 at the moment, and that have affected literally most of my 20s. Like, I'm about 3 years away from 30, so
Right.
yeah, definitely affected a lot. And I'm doing better now, so I don't want to sound like a sad human being. Like, I've grew up a lot,
It
but
sounds like it, girl.
Yeah, you already in therapy. It's
Right, right,
turning 30 to hit.
right.
okay, thank y'all. Y'all are sweet. But yeah, I just want to make sure that it doesn't. Even if I ever end up having a daughter, because right now I don't really care about kids, because this inflation prices. But if that ever happens, I constantly think about, what if I have a daughter? Like, I want to make sure
Right.
that I'm healed, that I'm secure, that what if my daughter is prettier than me? And I'm not trying to be mean to my mom at
Right,
all,
right.
but I really feel like when she looked at me, I was like a prettier version of her. And this is no shade, because she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. She is
Never
like a
thought about
stallion.
it like that.
She's
Is
a
that
stallion.
the situation with Danae Jackson? Because
Yeah.
girl, I'm looking at all these mistresses and I'm like, none of them are dark skinned. None of them are dark skinned
Well,
black skin.
Janaea did say that not not all of them were dark skinned. I think it was like the ones he messed with in the past, the ones he's created videos with, those are the ones
Mm,
that she saw naked
okay.
doing things,
It's interesting.
studying their bodies.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom was like a stallion. Like, she was so gorgeous. Well, she is still gorgeous, but at her youth it was different. And I feel like
Mhm.
when I was born, and another thing, like, I look almost like her. Like, I have some of my dad's features,
Ooh,
but I
I
look
already
like
know
her,
what you went through.
which is crazy, right? Like, I've noticed that in a lot of families where the mother is unhealed, if one of the daughters look just like her, that's where all her focus goes, because she would just want to relive her life to that daughter that looks just like her,
Oh
and
my
not look like my
God.
mama. All
My
my siblings.
grandmother was like that. She was the
Oh,
it girl growing up,
Yeah.
and she grew older. And I think when you grow up being the it girl, you don't realize that your time is up, like
limited.
your shine is up. So she reflected a lot of that on me because I look like her the most, which is crazy because my grandmother is lighter complected and my mom is very dark skinned. And I always wondered how that dynamic was. I
Mm.
always wonder because my mom was very insecure. And one of my aunts told me my mom asked her a question like, am I really that dark? And I was like, why did my mom? But then I realized I was raised by my grandmother, and I'm like, me being raised by my grandmother and my mom being a darker complected woman being raised by my grandmother, I couldn't imagine
What it would have been
her
like.
self-esteem because my self-esteem was very questioned all the time growing up, where she was kind of like trying to live through me. So I know that pressure
Ooh.
because they try. Oh man, that's so traumatic. That's
Yeah.
another lie for a different day.
Yeah. I hear you on that one. Yeah, she would. You can tell people will compliment me. Oh, your daughter is very cute. She's very pretty, and you could tell that, like. And she would never give me a compliment too. Like, my dad would tell me, "Oh, you're a pretty little girl." That's always my dad. And my mom would just stand there like, "Oh, whatever. Yeah, she's pretty, but she needs to go do homework." And then now all of a sudden I was a straight A student, so she needs to do the dishes better because she doesn't. And then I had to learn how to cook early. So after you learn how to cook, now it's like, oh, she never cleans. It's always something with her.
Yeah,
So it was like always, it's like, damn, this, like, she
there's
just
no
wanted,
pleasing them.
yeah,
There's
it's
Right,
no.
like
right, right.
crazy. Yeah. So Yeah, I would say, yeah, that's what I wanted to add. Our relationship with, family affects that, and growing up, it has to be a lot of forgiveness. Yeah,
So
in the process, if we're gonna move on, and those are for, for the black girlies who got very hurt, especially your mothers, your sisters, aunties,
so
because
true.
I know it's a lot of us.
So true. Thank you for coming up here and sharing.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Sending a lot of love her way.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is.
Oh, hey,
Hi,
good
Carla.
evening.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I was doing a little bit of cardio, but I'm gonna step off the machine.
Hey, you gotta get your workout in.
It's a vibration plate. So if I continue to stand on it, I'm gonna talk like I'm talking through a fan. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so I had an opportunity to listen for partially the beginning of the program up until now. And I'm going to try to keep things as concise as possible. I have a lot to say, though, regarding the unfriendliness of Black women. In general, I don't feel it's everyone. I do feel unfriendliness is more so on a case by case individualistic level. And I know there's a lot of, I'm just going to say there's a myriad of factors that come into play. So, for example, upbringing, environmental factors, regional factors, the subculture behind the regions. There's a lot, but more often than none, I feel that there's a lot of misery loves company behaviors that come into play. For example, in my experience, especially right now, you know, I think I'm doing pretty well for myself. Graduated with a master's last December of last year and everything, and things are progressing in my career, my relationship, and I don't really have too much drama. So, I have nothing but energy. I'm a naturally effervescent person. And when I try to spread that joy, because it comes out inadvertently, yes, sometimes I get the, what are you smiling for? You have no reason to be smiling. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I have a life. If I'm not miserable, don't be upset with me, please.
Right.
Exactly.
So I think that it definitely has something to do with the station that the individual or individuals are at in life. Um, it could be due to ignorance as well. I come from a mixed background. My mother is African American and my father is West Indian. So growing up, I dealt with some of the bullying. They used to say such unconscionable things that were really, it sounded really more like self-hatred with the African booty scratcher jokes and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, now that we're older, we know that these are tenets of racism that, definitely came from white supremacist ideology. But back then, we didn't know when we were children. But the one thing I definitely did was always stand up for myself. I do make it a point to always be myself and be friendly. But no matter what happens, I always advocate for everyone to stand up for themselves, no matter what. People may not like you, but respect. They definitely need to respect you, for
That's
sure,
so
for
true.
sure. And I also feel that communication can also play a role, whether it's nonverbal or verbal, because sometimes it's not so much what you say to an individual, it's how you say it. So if someone's very friendly towards, another African American woman or something like that, and, you know, the other party, the recipient of the message is kind of like, giving her like a really bad tone, that can also create problems. So I guess it just depends.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming up here and sharing. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, of course, anytime. I appreciate you having me this evening.
Thank you. Okay. I'm trying to get through some people here. Dash, are you there?
Hello.
Yes. What would you like to add to the conversation tonight?
Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm so nervous. Okay,
It's
okay.
okay.
Sorry, let me get my thoughts together. I love both of you guys.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
know?
Um, I would say like the last caller said, misery loves company. From my experience, I would say just let me get my thoughts together. I would just say in general, like black people, the black community, it doesn't matter like what diaspora you're from. I feel like we're very negative and we're not very optimistic.
Hmm.
I feel like, and we also like to nitpick. It's like we want each other. It's like I constantly hear black people like we want to be like perfect in a sense, but yet we don't. I don't know how to explain it. It's like,
Do you feel like we want to appear to be a certain way, but we don't put
yes,
in the work behind appearing that way to actually be that
yes,
way? I'm sorry.
like, like, um, like with the whole we're like negative to each other. I feel like I don't know. It's like we kind of fiend for that negativity, the like not being optimistic. It's like I do agree that black people, black women, we do support each other, but at the same time we don't support each other. Like you know how many times I'm like on social media or just like in person I hear a black woman say to another black woman, or like your hair is it's so nappy, this and that about just about your skin tone, yet we be the same ones preaching that. Or like if another black man says something about black women, we're like so like, oh, you can't say that. But it's like we do it to each
Each other.
other.
Yep.
Like an example I could think of was
So true.
uh, Simone Biles
Oh,
situation.
yep.
That was
Hmm.
absolutely ridiculous, and that made me so mad.
Yeah.
Like S- Simone Biles' edges were trending on Twitter. This woman literally shared a picture on her wedding day, and literally thousands of black women in the comments were talking about her hair.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's
And
honestly
I
crazy.
was just like, I couldn't believe it, but at the same time, because of I'm on social media, because of all the comments I've seen before, I was just like, you know what? I kind of expected that. But I didn't expect it to that extent where it was like trending on Twitter for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And like, I just, I don't know. I feel like we just as a, I guess, culture, we just need to like I don't know, theme for more positivity in our community,
Oh,
like
yes.
theme for more like be more optimistic. Like instead of like looking at all of this drama, shade room, all of this, we should look for more positive things. I feel like if we just have more positive things ingrained in within our community, we can be much more I don't like
But see, that's the tricky thing because I recently changed my Instagram. And at first I was upset because I tried to trinkle in some positive posts and it was not getting the engagement. As soon as I posted something negative that I deemed as negative, it got a lot of engagement. And I started reflecting on why is this a common thing among social media for Black people, like across every platform. And I started realizing that it's unfair to hold people to a certain standard just because I'm at that point in my life. Because one thing that I've learned is as people, we like to watch things and engage in things that we can relate to.
Mhm.
And you have to understand that even though you're in the position that you're in as a Black person, the next person may not be in that position. They may be able to relate to Krishan. They may be able to relate to some of the drama that they see on the Shade Room. And so I had to uncenter myself from viewing it that way. Because I'm just like, you know, on my path, I want to get away from the negativity. But for some people, for some Black people, they're just not there yet. And so I have to extend grace in that way to understand that, you know what, at one point I was sucked into all of that stuff. And, you know, a lot of the stuff that I was sucked into, I could relate to it, you know, and it made me feel better about my situation and what I was going through and where I was at in life. So sometimes I get what you're saying. I really do. I really do. Because some of the stuff we do, we tend to put a lot of negativity on pedestals and praise it and make people rich and famous off of it.
Yeah.
But then also another part of me is like, Black people can relate to struggle in a lot of ways. And so we tend to gravitate towards those things that are deemed as negative. So it's hard. It's hard. But I think as individuals, because we're not a monolith and because we are growing in different paces and stuff like that, we have to understand that not everybody is where we are. And it's hard. It's hard. It's hard because we want more for Black people. I know I do. I want more for Black women.
Can I say this from like a media perspective? Because I work in news and people try to say like the news is so negative and why do we always report on like negative things, right? But when I write a story about a shooting, it does so well because people are interested in that. So we used to go by the old saying, if it bleeds, it leads. And that's so true because when I would write good stories or positive stories or community type of stories, they would do okay. You know, it would have to be something like single mother struggles and overcomes this. That's relatable, right?
Yep.
But when it's just like a simple community story about somebody, a good Samaritan or something like that, and it's not traumatic, it doesn't do that well. But when you talk about like a shooting or domestic violence or something like that, people click on it and we monitor our numbers through Chartbeat, and Chartbeat shoots up so fast. And people are on that story all day. So you know what that tells us as the news business? That tells us that you guys are invested in this story and you guys want to follow up because y'all are invested. And the more that we do sidebars about that story, the more clicks and views that we get. If we're not writing it because, oh, we want to tell more positive stories, we're not doing a service to the people that's actually clicked on these stories and invested in it. So y'all are the ones that's invested into the negative news, the drama, the reality TV, you know, and all this violent stuff. Like y'all are the ones that's telling us that that's what y'all want to see.
Thank you for saying that because people don't even understand it when it comes to my decentering men series. Like, yeah, I have a series about decentering men, but it's the low episode 2 was the lowest viewed video on my channel. So you know what that sent me as a message, girl, you just gonna have to do this for fun. Like, you know, as a content creator, because yeah, I may be ready for that in my personal life, but my platform is not, because my platform is telling me that they're uninterested in that. And does it seem unfair? Kind of, you know, but at the end of the day, this is a business and our job is to get the engagement, to get the clicks, to get the comments and everything. So it's like you got to do what you got to do. But people sometimes personalize these things and assume that this is a topic that I just want to talk about, but not in all cases when we speak on platforms and how at the end of the day, it's a business. Either you're on here to make money or you're on here to spend money or you're on here to support someone getting money by being a consumer. So it's hard. It's hard. It's very hard.
I know. When I was making videos about, you know, femininity and dating, and although I still talk about certain things like that, I'm like, no, you know what? I know what I do now. I may not get a lot of views, but I'm so passionate when I talk about it. And it's like those few people that comment and be like, oh my God, this really helped me see things from, it makes me feel fulfilled. Like I could easily make a video of like how to dress feminine and put on your lipstick, and I'm like, I've grown out of that. Like I'm not there anymore. So I'm talking about this. I'm talking about trending topics, but I'm gonna talk about it and add God to it because I'm on a spiritual journey myself, and it may not give me a lot of views now, but I trust in God that it's coming. It's the
Right.
he's gonna send the right people your way, and he's gonna send them my way. So just keep doing
Exactly.
what you're doing, and don't let that, maybe you have to be the shift and the change to help us
Right, right.
de-steer from men. Because when
And
I
that's
saw that
what I'm
video,
learning.
you know what, Yanni? I'm gonna just tell you this for inspiration. When I saw that video, at first I was like, "This centering man, what we gonna talk about?" Like, so like when you said like if all your friends talk about men when y'all go out, it made me really think like, oh my God, like I feel like every time I get out with my friends, we're talking about men. So I actually went out with a couple of my friends, and I literally purposely did not bring up men, drama, what's going on in my life, their life. Do you know one girl sat there and said nothing the entire time because she had nothing to say?
Oh my God. And see, that's what be scaring me, y'all. It be scaring me when it comes to the younger generation because there's so much life out here. And I feel like we're just so sucked in and centered when it comes to men. And it's like we're missing out on this whole other experience that the world has to offer. And it's like Yanni has seen the light. And it's like it ain't even no bad blood towards men because it's like, listen, I still need you to pay my bills. Like, but I'm gonna enjoy my life. You know what I mean? Like it's not, it's I promise you, like it's not.
They didn't want to talk about aspirations. They didn't want to talk about, I started talking about work. I started talking about, I'm really pulling teeth trying to start a conversation that has nothing to do with men. And like, they kind of just sat there and it was like, yeah, one friend was like talking about it, but the other girl, she's so caught up about men, like she literally sat there and did not say nothing. And I noticed that, and I was like, I bet you if I was to bring up something about relationships, something about men, it would get her going. But she just sat there. So ladies, try what Yanni is saying. If you go out with your friends the next time, purposely not talk about drama of men or what men ain't doing or whatever, and see if y'all are actually able to have a conversation.
Make it a bet. Make it a bet. Ooh. You know, whoever talks about a man or brings it up or men, they gotta pay.
Yeah.
Dash, was there anything else that you wanted to add? Because you made a great point. I guess I'm gonna ask you this question, Dash. What advice would you give people that are sucked into that content? How did you break free from that content?
Me, I think it's because I have anxiety, and I think I notice like your mind, if you keep feeding it negativity, just like looking at negativity, just feeding your mind that all the time, your my anxiety like tripled. It was really bad. So I noticed when I really started looking at more positive things, like literally just searching up like, like in like motivational videos, positive videos, like I started feeling better. Like I noticed that, and like I remember like just having a conversation with like, some people, that they have anxiety, and I recommended that. I was like, do you like watch like any like what when you get home, what do you watch? Like what are you consuming? And the things that they were consuming were literally just like, a bunch of like just bad things, terrible, like always looking at, bad news. And I'm like, do you like watch anything that makes you laugh? Like anything positive? That they told me no. So I think honestly, just even if your environment is like, not is negative, it's hard. But I would just say making that small step of just like changing what you're watching, viewing on social media can really help.
I agree.
It
And
really does. It really helped me for sure.
I agree. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for coming up here and sharing overall too.
All right. Thank you. Sorry if I
Oh
am
no,
like,
you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Another point that I want to make, because Dash brought up a great point. One thing that I've noticed is, and this is why I truly decided to start the series, I'm going to stay consistent with this series. I don't care if nobody show up. And the reason is because a lot of women are depressed from being sucked into that content constantly. We're talking about how you're sucked in to basically manipulate yourself into ways that don't resonate with who you are, true to yourself. People are creating these stereotypes online. If you fit that stereotype, you go with that, and then you think that that's who you're supposed to be. That's not fair to you. You're giving yourself the shorter end of the stick when it comes to your identity and who you are as a person. Then secondly, another reason is because a lot of women are depressed. A lot of women feel like they should just give up on life, all because somebody online has been feeding them this narrative from a stereotype. It's insane. And so I'm just like, I need to break free myself. And so by me breaking free, sometimes when you're the lone wolf or you're the black sheep or whatever, you got to go out there before everybody else go out there, because the hurdle, they're not going to go out there. So I'm okay with going out there because I understand how important it is, because yes, it's causing depression, it's causing anxiety. When I decentered men, ladies, I went outside and there were men that were nice to me. And I wasn't even afraid to be like awkward towards them or feel like I had to do something weird or anything, because it was a normal interaction. I wasn't overthinking it. Like I wasn't overthinking the encounter. I wasn't overthinking the interaction. I wasn't thinking about all these rules and these guidelines. I just had an encounter. And it wasn't a negative one. And when you suck yourself into this content that tells you men are this and men are that and men are this and men are that, you really go outside and you're like, oh, there's a man, oh girl, stay clear. And I was becoming that. Like I would literally tense up if a man walked in the room. And now I don't do that because I have decentered them. And I tend to have a better interaction with them. I'm not sucked into this content that's just bashing them day in and day out, day in and day out. And so because of that, I feel like my interactions with them are more enjoyable, and not awkward. And then I went to Kava earlier. I saw nothing but it was either black couples.
Wait a second, you went to Kava again?
Yes, I went.
I told you.
I went back.
I warned you.
It was good. I was like, damn, this is so good. No wonder everybody's talking about this.
It is. It's addictive.
It's so addictive.
For it a little bit.
But I went in there and I'm like, oh my God, I see all these black couples. And then, of course, you see you see like a single black woman in there on their lunch break, whatever like that. I saw at least 4 or 5 couples. 4 or 5 couples. They look happy, Yeah. They look happy, hell. And I'm enjoying my lunch. And it was just nice to see that, because online, I don't see that. So it's crazy how you suck into the stuff.
And they
online.
love black women.
Yeah,
they love brown, dark skinned black women.
They weren't light skinned, y'all. And I'm being for real. They were not light skinned.
Yep.
They were not what they weren't Instagram baddie. They were just an average black woman, and they were on lunch with a man.
Yes.
And that it was just it was nice to see, because I don't see it online. I see the complete opposite online. And yes, it's a Kava in Houston. And it's like, listen, it just brought balance to my life, because when you are sucked in to the content online, it's constantly like beating you down.
Yes.
And it's leaving you
girl,
hopeless. It leaves you hopeless. And I just feel bad for women that are still kind of like sucked into that content. I personally, I'm going to tell you to go where you are loved, to go where you are appreciated, to go where you feel like you feel included, you feel like you belong, and just keep it at that. Because if you keep living through what everybody else is saying online, it's going to keep you from putting yourself out there to have better experience, to have greater experiences with new people. So you can't really just go off of that. And so the Decentering Men series really also includes decentering social media that is keeping you from putting yourself out there out of fear or out of the assumptions that these people online create. And I'm not even saying that there isn't truth to it. A lot of times there's a lot of truth to it, but it don't have to be your truth though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It don't have to be your truth. So
trust me, Yoni, I went through that. I made a video about how like it made me depressed about even having a kid, like, being single, and like I felt like my life was over. Like I literally was like, well, like what's life? Like what's for me? Like I'm pathetic, I'm this, I'm that, all these negative affirmations. And it's like it was a battle, with a spiritual battle with myself, because all these manosphere men was saying all these negative things about me. And I started to believe it, like, yeah, I am damaged, I can't be fixed, I might as well just end it here. Like, it got to that point where it was so bad. And that's why I'm like, since then I've been at peace. There's been men that treat me so nicely. Like, no, it's not real. It's not reality. So, like, step away from it. Not all men think that way. Not all men are gonna treat you and use you like that. You just gotta have discernment.
You
And
do.
how you have discernment is by having your own thoughts and not just constantly getting fed on social media from all these different people telling you what to do and how to act, and you don't even know who you are no more, because you sitting up there acting like sprinkle over here, and then you acting like Yoni over here, and then, like, you just
Right,
don't
right.
even know yourself. So
Right. Get to
settle
know,
down, guys.
find yourself first.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there. I'm not gonna say that you shouldn't take the free game that's out here.
That's
It
true.
is useful, but take it when you need it. Don't just consume content just to consume it, just to
Right.
consume it. Like, use the free game that's out here, because there's some good game out here.
It
Okay.
is.
And a lot of our mothers did not teach us these things, but use it. Like, now you can search it now. Like, if you come across something in your personal life, you can look it up, but
That's
doesn't
true.
have to be the center of your life.
Yeah.
No, it does not. There are so many other things that you can focus on. So always keep that in mind, because I'm not trying to tell you that you shouldn't get the game that the girls are putting down.
Yeah, get the
No,
game.
no, you should get the game.
Yeah.
But now you can search for what you're looking for now. Like, the game is out here. Now you can type it in the YouTube search bar, like, girl, I had this experience. Girl, what am I dealing with? And then you can take that in at that point. But to be sucked into it constantly, it is negative. It makes you hopeless.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't help your situation. So I hope you understand where I'm coming from, because I'm not saying don't stop completely, but tap in and then tap out. Caller, what would you like to add to tonight's conversation?
Hi, Yoni. How you tell her? How you doing?
Good. How are you? We have an issue with your audio.
It is. Okay.
It's like an echo.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Shut. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes, that's
Oh,
better.
you could?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was gonna come up here and just add my little experience to what I felt with other Black women, but you said some things about don't take it personal. You never know how how that other person may be feeling. Don't even take it personal. And that kind of just really clicked in my head. Like, you know what? I used to take things so personal. I did used to feel entitled for other Black people to recognize me because I recognize them. I did feel entitled by that. And by you saying that, like, we feel entitled, I'm like, damn, well, I guess that is what I did feel entitled. Because I'm like, if I see you, you see me, we see each other.
Right.
That's how I always thought. But just hearing you Taylor talk, and actually I've been watching a lot of your videos lately. It just brought a lot of like balance to myself about who I am as a woman, how I'm showing up in this world as a woman. And it's like, I remember B Taylor made a video and she was like, love on the little girl that's inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when I tell you I am loving on her, I am loving on her
Girl, how
because
you loving on her? I just want to know. I just want to know how
I'm
you
just
loving on her.
like, by me giving myself compliments and me looking in the mirror and seeing like, wow, you are such a worthy, loving person. And I'm just like, I wish I would have had a bigger sister. I'm like a bigger sister to my younger self right now. I don't know if that makes
I
sense,
love
but
that.
it's like,
Yeah, no, it does.
it does. Okay. So it's just like, I feel like it's not me feeding my current self. It's really me feeding like all the love and the validation I did not get from family or friends, or feeling rejected, or feeling like I was a too chippier girl. I'm just really just realizing like this is who you are, and embrace it. And you bring so much value. And I'm really like, I'm 31, so I'm just really now understanding that. And I will say, Yanni, like me being, I think I've been following you for a couple years now, and it's just you have brought a lot of balance to my perspective. And it's like, wait, I know I'm not the only one thinking like this. You've been having a lot of conversations that have really been centering me and helping me like dismiss what I don't need, or me learning to emotionally support myself better than I used to. And I've been in therapy,
Okay.
and like for 4 years now, something I decided to do on my own. I'm like, I gotta live a better life. I can't be an overthinker like this. I can't feel like the victim all the time. There's no way that I just feel like people are hurting me. And it's not that they were hurting me. It's just probably like, I don't know, maybe they were going through different things. I used to come up as a chippery Black girl. I went to private school all my life, but I lived in a predominantly I lived in a like New Jersey, New York metropolitan area. So it's like where I'm from is the biggest city in New Jersey, and how I act is not how a lot of those women act. I'm not saying that it's I was born and raised in, Newark, New Jersey. So if you look that up, that's like the biggest, it's like a Black town, and my peers growing up there, they're totally different lives that we're living. Like no one really went to college. No, everybody went to public school. So I'm already feeling like, dang, like, why me? Why me? Like what made me so special? What God just in my life put me in this predicament where he had people to really care about my education, and seeing that not for a lot of my peers. So I was just like, wait, like it was just a lot of battling because I'm this Black girl that had this experience, but I'm born and raised in a town. I'm still currently there where a lot of people don't have those experiences. So I'm like learning to maneuver in that way. Or when I am working with all Black people, I felt as though like, dang, like, am I being too nice? Am I being too talkative? I question myself a lot because I did see different demeanors. People would say, oh, I can see that you're a little bit different. And I'm like, I don't know what that supposed to mean, but I just always heard it. Um, even my talking, like I like to go to botanical gardens. I don't know a lot of Black girls that go to like the I don't know personally that like to go to botanical gardens or like to sit in a park and look at the water, and for me it's like, yeah, it's very therapeutic. And I'm just like, dang, like I used to feel like, where do I fit in at? And I remember someone said, you don't have to fit in nowhere. And I just always, like you said, the social media, the stereotypes that they give of Black women. And I just was like, oh, snap. Like, this is how people feel about us? Because I don't feel like that about nobody. I never did until it started to surface on social media. And like you said, you do have to dimming that stuff down.
Yeah.
And by me doing that has allowed me to really like see I am an amazing person. I am a valuable person. I know my worth now, and how do I keep that from myself, but learn how to give it, but not give too much,
Right. No.
in my life. So I would definitely say, like, as a Black woman, my experience with other Black women has been pleasant. Of course, there's some nasty Black women. Of course, like,
Right.
it's nasty women of all races. I'm sorry to say this.
Yeah.
And I would never put like, oh, this group. No, I work at an airport. I work for a federal agency, and I get to see different groups of people come in. And it did affect me when I used to encounter the Black people. They would not speak, and it baffled me for the longest. And I'm like, you know what, Kaya? I call myself Kaya. I'm like, you can't even think about it like that. Like, you still gotta preserve your energy
Right.
for yourself. I used to get like, I had that entitlement because I thought that we Black is not a lot of us coming through this airport like this. I see you, you see me. Hey, how you doing? I wouldn't get a hi back. And I thought that that was so like weird to me. But I'm like, you know what? You can't even be mad. It is what it is. I worked it out through therapy. I tried to emotionally support myself through it all. Say, you got your own stuff going on. You're living a blissful life the best way you could. So if they do not speak, don't let it bother you. And I have learned to not let it bother me as much. But I did feel entitled to feel like, dang, like we see each other. I see you, you see me. That's how I always thought it was supposed to be, but I guess that's not the reality.
Because
So
I
yeah.
see it as like Black women, like, yes, we're Black women, but we are allowed to be in our individual selves. And I think sometimes we put that pressure on each other to be what we expect for each other to be instead of allowing ourselves to be who we are. And just because we're Black, yeah, but like we can still be different. We can be indifferent. We don't have to be the same. And I know that tends to be put on us in society where everybody looks at us the same and they think we're all the same, but that's not who we are. So like that was the reason why I said, like, are you entitled to other Black women and expect for them to give you a level of attention just because they're a Black woman? Like that's a sense of entitlement to that Black woman because she is an individual. And it, you know, it made me realize some things as well. Like, okay, I got to make sure I check myself with that because she don't have to talk to me if she doesn't want to. If I try to initiate an interaction and she doesn't want to give me an interaction, I'm just not going to take it personal, because I wouldn't take it personal if it was a Hispanic woman, a white woman, or an Asian woman, or any other woman out there. It's just when it's a Black woman, sometimes we feel that sense of entitlement because she looks like us, but she's still an individual. And I think that's where we need to come to an understanding. Like she's still an individual and you don't know what she may be going through. You know, maybe she just, you know how we have our days, you know, where we just don't have it in us to have that interaction or give that interaction. So that's what I wanted to point out. And that's what Luann, or I think that was the caller's name, Luann, that's what she brought to my attention through this conversation, because I'm like, damn, am I entitled? Like, do I feel entitled to another Black woman? Like she gotta talk to me. And I get it, you know, that's our comfort blanket in certain spaces. Like, oh, another Black woman, oh, let me run to her. You know, that's our safe space sometimes, because when we see each other out and we're in certain spaces, it's like, oh my God, I need to, you know, get.
And it's not many of us there.
Right. And there's not many of us there. So we tend to gravitate towards each other and depend on each other in that way. But still, like, I have to respect the fact that this is an individual Black woman and she has the right to not speak to me. And I can't take it personal, you know? So I hope
and I appreciate that, because even at work, I started like 3 months ago, and I was having an issue with like, dang, why these Black, like the women that look like me don't want to speak. And I'm like, it baffled me, because I'm thinking like, dang, like we see each other every day. Like the culture, my therapist like said, like you have to look at the culture of the job.
Right.
You have to see how the culture is. And then that's how you maneuver in the culture. Right. And she said, just because you say hi, it doesn't, like, if they don't say back, are you going to just stop saying hi? If that's in you to do it? So she really had to hone me in on a lot of things. And I'm just like, I'm overthinking it, of course. But it's just, I think it's because when I see Black women, I'm like you say, you compliment each other, you start conversations out of nowhere. If you're in the eyelash lane in a Target or whatever, oh girl, I like those lashes. I like these too. Like it's just kind of innate for me to be like that. But I guess I look at it for me, and I guess I can't expect me out of everyone. And when you pointed that out, I was like, wow, that clicked for me. And it takes a lot of anxiety and unnecessary worrying off of you when you just like, you know what, you're right. Everybody's entitled.
It really does.
Yeah. So
because it's not a woe is me, you know, that's what we like to jump to, is woe is me. Maybe not, you know. So thank you for coming up here and sharing. I really do appreciate it. But I'm going to move on to another topic. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye. Okay, Mimi, you're up next. What would you like to add to tonight's conversation?
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay. So a couple of points. One is I would like to thank you for having me up. Secondly, the young lady a few calls back, I really felt for her as when she was speaking about her upbringing. I myself, dark-skinned Black woman, but I came up before social media, and I just didn't have that experience as of what I'm hearing young women are having today. I'm not saying it didn't exist back in the 80s and 90s, because it did, but my family unit, especially my mother, reinforced positivity behind that. So I didn't have a complex about my complexion. I didn't. And I have, at my age now, have never dealt with a man, Black, white, or other, that has an issue with my complexion or talked to me about 50-50 femininity or this, that, and the third. It's
Mhm.
just, it's not in my aura.
Do you think it's
Uh,
the culture that we are experiencing
the
within our
culture,
generation? Mhm.
I think it's a culture shift as far as what we're seeing or being able to the digital age and having information right at our fingertips.
Mhm.
And anybody and everybody has a podcast saying anything and whatever all day long. Taylor, you had mentioned this earlier. You're out amongst society and people. You don't have these interactions with people like that, with
Mhm.
other black people or black men or any of that nature. Um, so it's necessary to unplug. I found this setting about 3 years ago. Prior to that, I didn't have any social media. I didn't really get into it like that other than reposting a meme or something. But when I found the community, I was like, oh, okay, this is nice. But then it swayed and got
Mhm.
really toxic.
Mhm.
And I had to unplug for about a year and just be like, yeah, it's too much. I can't. Um, when you were talking about decentering men,
Mhm.
I watched her first series and I chuckled a bit because my mom told me back in 1993, she said, baby, don't put no man in front of you, okay? And I'm like, okay, I'm 13, I don't have a man, but sure, I got you. Um, so that was my modeled behavior that I saw from her. And I haven't, for lack of a better term, a bit of an ego.
Mhm.
So I don't accept certain behaviors or conversations from men or women when as it pertains to talking about each other, talking about gender roles. I have a very small group of friends that I've been friends with for 20 plus years. We have our meetup days. My friend is having a tattoo party next month. I don't have any tattoos, but I'll go because it's food and drinks. But we're all a diverse group of black women, and
Mm.
we like to get together. We have shared experiences. You know, we have our mentalities are evenly matched, and it has taken a really long time to find that intimate group of girlfriends that you click with, and
Mhm.
you can be vulnerable with. You can be your authentic self around.
Right.
It's taken a long time. Some people have come into my life for a season and they left an impact, negative or positive, but I learned from it and I just had to move on.
Right.
Um, as far as dealing with mean or not nice black women,
Mhm.
um, yeah, they tend to be of the older generation for me because I am what they call free spirited or uh, I don't
Open-minded?
know, open minded, I guess. You know, I'm not married. I only have one child. It's not the center focus of my life. I don't constantly talk about it's just not something that is a priority to me. And that bothers them. And it's okay. I get it. They're from a different generation. I'm not going to uh, argue with them about it, but they could be a little snarky.
Mhm.
Okay. And I have had experiences with black women that have been wonderful. Um, and I don't even know their names. They just helped me in a time that I really, really needed it, and they were gone. They didn't want anything in return. They didn't ask for nothing. I offered, they didn't take it. So that's majority of my experiences with other black women.
Mhm.
I used to work years and years ago as a sales girl at Nordstrom in the shoe department. I would have black women seek me out intentionally just to shop with me only because I was black.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, let's do it. Because their experiences weren't pleasant with anybody else. That's what they expressed to me. But yeah, some black women will seek me out.
Mm-hmm.
If we are in a space where there's not a lot of us.
Right.
And I try to make myself, my personhood, a safe space for black women and
Mm-hmm.
children and other black people, because I do know that sometimes you do need to look around and see somebody that looks like you.
Right. Yeah. It
So,
just it just brings you a sense of comfort and belonging. So yeah, I agree with that. Thank
yeah,
you, Mimi, for sharing. I really do
no
appreciate it.
problem.
Bye-bye. Okay. Next caller, what would you like to add to tonight's conversation?
Hello, Yoni. I'm just gonna kind of touch on, um, like all the topics, like a bunch of different topics that not topics, but the points that previous callers have made,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of just share my experience generally. I'm aloof. Like I adopted this from my mom because she was like warning me a little bit when I was younger, but I just would not pay attention. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, because went through the same thing, even though physically we look different and like mature differently. She went through the same thing in terms of like we're very much so aloof to everybody else, and like we're not so in tune of like, oh, they're jealous or who's that and do this all this. They're like, well, we all want to have a good time. We're all bubbly. We just all like, we want everybody to feel included, feel welcome. Just have generally good time. It's like, what's the problem? What's the issue? It's
Mm-hmm.
more so it's like we don't generally when I say me, I generally don't look at anybody like that comes off standoffish or like is just maybe a little bit rude or whatever as it's something personal. Like I said, like you said, like, don't take things personally. I
Mm-hmm.
really don't try to take things personally. I see that from friendships and all those things, I'm the like listening ear, that everybody always has something going on, even if on the outside people say you're pretty, people say you're this, people say you're that, all this stuff. Everybody always has something going on, and so I generally know like I'm not going to take things personally, but it was like a little bit of like a, I wouldn't say insecurity, but it was just like you kind of want to be accepted by your own people. And I generally found that it was a switch up. Like it was just weird because I would try and be like, just out there, open minded. I would just be friendly and whatnot. But it would be the black people, like girls and guys, that just would be no, like not receptive, not liking to it. And I found myself having more white friends, which is like it's a little bit of a I don't know what to say. Like it was just like topsy turvy. It's like be cautious with that because I've learned to be cautious with that because
Same.
you need to be like
I think we all had I think we all
Yeah.
learned our lesson
Yeah.
with that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I realize they do it in different ways. It's like white people in different races,
I know
they will hold on, what?
I'm not sure what happened.
I don't know, did I okay.
Okay, so now.
Okay. Well, yeah. Black people in different races, it's kind of like it's either you do or you don't. It's like it's either they like engage in conversation with you, they're nice word or pleasantries, and so much that they tolerate you,
Mm-hmm.
or they maybe just like are like like they like you'll be friendly wherever. And what is that mean? I don't know. But
I can still hear you.
Yeah, I can still hear you too.
is that
There's an echo.
hold on a second. Okay, can you still hear an echo?
Yes.
Interesting.
I don't know why it keeps going in and out.
Is my signal okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're good on this on our end.
Is it just like, I don't know, what is the echo coming from?
Oh, I don't hear an echo.
Oh no, I still hear it.
Oh.
When she talks.
I don't have anything open, so I'm just trying to figure out.
Okay. It sounds like it's better.
Sounds better?
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, where is everyone going for this? I don't know. Generally, I just
You were talking about different races, and you said
yeah.
they accept you or they don't.
Yeah, and I just think it's just generally of like, go where you're accepted, but still be cautious in the vein of like, use your intuition, like listen to like yourself, and see like the red flags, like listen to like the vibe and what like what's really going on. Like, don't read into things too much, but still don't like be passive. Like, don't try to sweep things under the cover. Like, oh, that raised like a little bit of like that might have been a microaggression, but I'm gonna just excuse it or whatever, this and that. No, like, listen to those little red flags and use your discernment in terms of like, don't try to pick and choose what you want to like listen to. Just because you want to have friends, or just because they're accepting of you, or whatever case may be. Just go where you're accepted and where you're truly respected.
So true. So true. That's what I was saying earlier. Because I think Black women need to just step outside of their comfort zone. And yes, it's a scary thing to do, but I mean, there's a whole world out there. Are you sure you just want to leave this place and not really like put yourself out there and really have the most experiences that you can get? Because the whole purpose of you being here is to have experiences, and you get to choose what those experiences are. So it can start with the new friend group. It could start with you traveling. It could start with you doing different hobbies, trying new things, eating new food, dressing different, and just going to different places, because there's a whole world out there outside of your culture, your upbringing, your environment, and what you've been, you know, conditioned to or in. It's just there's so much out there, and it's like, don't cut yourself short because you don't want to step outside of what you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge. I think that's part of this conversation, to find like-minded women like yourself that you can engage with, that are in fact Black women. And the more of us who step outside and we go to these spaces to try new things and to do things that we're truly interested in, we're going to meet each other. That's why I'm trying to get you guys to go out and like, let's go out here so then we can meet each other. So you got to be brave enough though to put yourself out there so that you can meet that Black woman, and it's kind of similar to dating.
Yeah,
it is. It's
I
kind
was
of
literally
similar.
gonna bring
It's
it
very
up.
similar to dating.
Yeah, because I realized, I was like, just this. I was going to say, like, in the same way, like you touched on this earlier too, like in the same way that when you're trying to look for just interacting with men or different things or whatever, whoever you're dating, go where you're going to just go and learn yourself. You don't even have to make it of, oh, I just want to talk to people, whatever. It could be like you want to socialize or do different things, but even just going out and doing activities that you like, or doing new hobbies, doing new things, and learning what you like and what you enjoy, and doing that by yourself, then it will naturally come to you. Like, you will naturally meet people that like the same things and enjoy those same things, and then you will get new friendships and make new relationships that you never anticipated that you'd make, because you're going outside your comfort zone, because you're going outside of what you know. And this is also another thing I was thinking about, because I moved. Okay, let me reframe. The whole thing with wanting to be liked by my own community, wanting to be liked by other Black people, it was a thing of where I used to live in New York. And when I went to school in New York, I was in Canarsie. It was a bunch of everybody was black. Everybody was black. Everybody was Caribbean. So it wasn't it wasn't a race thing. It wasn't even really colors and thing. Like everybody was like brown skin, dark skin. So it wasn't that wasn't the issue. It was more so was like, you're not what we all like. It's like more so like somebody else, previous caller said, they like to choose, like they like to nitpick, and if you don't fit that certain box or whatever case in box that you're in, they're not with it. They're like, I don't really like that. It's kind of like you have to be a reflection of them, or they're not with it. Or if you have to be able to give them something. They have to be able to gain something from you. And if it's not that, then they're not okay with that. Also with the whole misery loves company, and them just being not receptive to just positivity, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just like, you aren't, I think especially just for me personally, it was like I had people are visual creatures, and I wasn't really like, I don't say take care of myself, but I just didn't like really invest in my looks and my appearances, and I would just kind of like wear the basic things. I wasn't like I heard flashy, like my hair just like them basic back braids. I stayed true to them back braids because you cannot go with them back braids. But like I just stayed really, really simple. I wasn't out here. I wasn't like, I'm not trying to get like newest kicks or nothing like that. And just because of that alone, and because I wasn't like so, who's this, who's that, in terms of like boys and anything like that, people like to come back to the previous color. People thought I was gay, and not my friends, because I think I was blessed and fortunate enough to where I got friends that accept me for who I was. But it was more so other people on outside. They were like, oh, she must be gay because she always is around girls, and she doesn't like, she's not all up or on guys, and she's
Why
just
is the
dressed
gay?
certain
I'm
ways.
just trying to figure out why does the gay thing keep coming up?
I don't know. I
don't-
was like, what?
'Cause people thought I was gay too, and I'm like, no. And then the people started calling me gay so much to the point I'm like, damn, am I gay? Am I lesbian?
Really?
Like, yes, I started thinking I was for a sec, but I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not gay. I'm not even bi-curious. So
I think it goes to what I think it even goes back to what you were saying before about the decentering men, because I don't say everybody, but like generally it would be like, if you're not like, more so I don't say passionate, but like if you're not always talking about boys, or you're not like hanging around guys in a certain way, like I don't say a certain way, but like the kind of way I'm talking about. I don't know if you know what
yeah,
I'm talking
very
about, but
flirtatious. And
yeah,
like,
it's like if you're not like
please
that,
look at
and
me.
like you're bigging up your friends, and you're always supporting your friends, like you're okay with being in the background, like you said before, like previous callers said before. It's like there's something wrong with that. There's like, you don't want attention. You don't
Yeah.
like. Like,
Oh my gosh. No,
like,
no. I don't like being center of attention. It makes me, girl, I don't even know how I'm doing YouTube, but
I was like, how you doing?
I really don't like being the center, like the center of attention. It just, I was just like, oh my God, like I don't have time. Like I just want to be chill. I want to be in the back, But some people just they like to be in the mix. They like to be in the middle. They thrive.
Yeah.
But me, I would fall. I would trip. I would become so clumsy, and you would see a totally different side. Like, why is she okay? Like, I'm tripping over my feet. There's nothing in front of me. Like, or I do something weird. I'm like, oh my God, is somebody looking at me? Like, I'm weird like that. And so I think it's funny because people that know me or knew me when I was younger, they look at what I'm doing today and they're like, girl, we would have never known. We would have never thought that this is what you, girl, I would have never thought either. So it's crazy. It's just like some Black women just don't like being in the, like, we like to be the wallflower. We like to be in the background. We like to just be, we just roll with the vibes. You know, we don't try to create the vibes. We own what you own. Like we that type. So I don't think people understand us in that way. I think they expect for us to create the vibe, create the wave, create the hype. And it's just like, listen, I just came to come and to chill with y'all. I didn't come to do all of that. That's a lot of work. You want me to be a performer? I'm not a performer. Then everybody think a black woman can sing. And I'm just like, girl, I can't hold a tune to save my life. So I'm not, I have 2 left feet. I'm not a twerker. I'm not a dancer. I'm not a singer. I'm not none of that. I just came to chill. Okay. But some of those things, I have to say, a lot of black women carry those talents naturally. And so because black women are so naturally talented, they expect for us all to be like that. And I'm like, girl, I cannot hum a tune. So I'm gonna need somebody else to do it. And then don't be
I
trying
don't know
to
why they think we can all sing.
I don't know. I don't know. And then another thing that's like crazy about the situation is like, listen, I can 2-step, but as soon as you take me out of that 2-step, girl, it's a mess. It's a mess. So it's just like, listen, I just came here to chill. And it's crazy how sometimes when you step into these spaces, people expect for you to put on, and it's like, girl, I'm not a put on type. I'm a put that on, like wear that, you know, but I'm not a put that on like, girl, I'm not trying to put on a performance. I got I got something better to do. I'm the type of person where I become the entertainment by accident because I'm weird. I'm Issa from Issa Rae. Like I'm being weird and somehow I crack a joke and the next thing you know, I'm stealing the attention, but it's never on purpose because that is embarrassing. Like you know how Issa was on Insecure where she was doing stuff that it's just her, but it comes across as funny. That's me. So sometimes when you carry that type of personality, you tend to get a lot of attention, but it's not on purpose. Okay. It's not on purpose. And it matches your personality. So people think you're funny when you trip, you fall over nothing, but they just think it's funny because they're like, yep, that's her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was like, I don't know, that I don't say develop a complex, but it kind of like tripped me up because like growing up, because I'm like, oh, people are always saying, oh, you're so funny, and for a while I was just like, okay, I'm funny, like situational funny, like, you know, and with the situational funny, I was like, maybe I'm being laughed at, like they're like laughing at me and not like with me, and not like,
Right.
oh, just like, oh, that's just a funny thing that you just did.
I
But
know
more
the
so
difference.
like, oh, funny, like she's the like she's the butt of the joke. Like we'll keep her around because she's always doing some dumb shit.
I know the difference now because I used to be Kelly.
Yeah.
And then somehow turned into Issa. But I was Kelly at first from Insecure because Kelly was the bigger funny friend. So I was her at first, and then I ended up turning into like Issa later. Once I started getting around people that actually like me, you know,
Right,
like,
yes,
they understand this is her true nature. This is just who she is. She's not being weird. She's just being herself. So that's what I'm saying. You got to get around the right people who truly understand your personality. And they're not just judging you based off of like the things
they want
that
you
they
to
find
act
annoying.
a certain way.
Right.
Like, act like this.
Girl, I would die inside if I gotta act a certain way. I wouldn't be able to pull it off. My eye would start twitching. I just it would be too much. Okay. I have to be myself. And I don't think people understand it. Some people don't understand it. So keep that in mind. But thank you for coming up here and sharing. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Okay, she was our last caller. I am sorry because I did not mean to hold you this long, but I really did enjoy you coming up here and hosting with me. You guys, you should follow her channel, subscribe to her channel.
I'm almost at 50K.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I'm almost. I probably need like 100 more subscribers, but
I'm sure you will get them. So what can they expect from you from your YouTube channel, your content?
So I do commentary on relationships, trending topics. I'm in a spiritual shift right now, so my content has shifted. It's whatever God puts on my heart. If I see a trending topic where I feel like there's a lesson behind it that we can learn about and heal from and learn and see like different perspectives about things and just taking a deep dive into the psychological aspect of it. That's what you can expect from me. Like I did a video about Ruby Rose and why she prefers men who reject her and the
I saw that.
Yes, and she was talking about that earlier, and I'm so thankful she said that because somebody from a family attacked me over that video, thinking that it was about them. And I was like discouraged a little bit, but her saying that almost brought tears to my eyes because I really was led by God when I was talking. And I'm really just trying to be led by God when I'm saying, I'm just like, I pray when I release these videos and saying whoever's supposed to see this, it's not even about the views anymore for me. It's about the impact. And if I can help one person, then I completed myself. So that's what you can expect. I also started a series, Bubbles with B. Taylor. I had my first episode where I talked about my spiritual shift, and overcoming suicidal thoughts, being a single mom, and finding my value. Like when I tell you I was going through some stuff, from like bed bugs to moving to sleeping on somebody's couch. Like that is my testimony. So you can find that in my live. And then I have a second episode coming out. So that's more so like I'm gonna go live, but most of my videos are like voiceovers, and I'm still trying to find my voice in this new journey that God has me on. So that's what
I love that you said that your content is taking a spiritual shift. I love that. I love that because I feel the same way. And so it's crazy. I started my series and it's my spiritual shift. So I'm trying to trickle in some parts of me, even though this is still a business. And so I'm still going to do the Decentering Men series. So I love that you said that because I felt pulled to do the same thing. I felt called to do the same thing.
Be obedient. Be obedient. Watch God just move in your life and help over your content. So just continue to be obedient.
Yes,
it's
I
beautiful
love that.
what you're doing.
I love that. So make sure, ladies, you check out her channel. Thank you for coming through and stopping by. I really do appreciate it. Queen Sheba could not make it, and that's okay. Hopefully we can bring her on for a different topic. But thank you for coming. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, ladies, I know some of you did not get to come up here and speak and share your stories, but of course, we're going to have these lives again. I hope to bring other guests as well up here. Shout out to my mods. I don't know if you are still in here. You guys are always working so hard to keep the chat clean, respectful, and safe. And I really do appreciate it because when it comes to this space, I want people to feel comfortable. I want them to be able to express themselves and to give their point of view and to hear them out in full. So I really do appreciate the mods in the chat for always holding it down. And that is pretty much it. This video is going to stay up. It's for your needs. If you need some comfort with some of the things that we were able to talk to during this live, and comment afterwards and let me know, what should our next topic be? Let me know what our next topic should be. And I will catch you in my next one. Good night to everyone that's in the chat and everyone that's on the live. And I will see you in my next one.